Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today, of course, and also welcome to 2022. And it looks like we have a little bit of Jean-Claude Van Damme joining us today. Hello, Jean-Claude. How is life in Belgium?
Well, it's not Jean Claude. It's a black man doing a very muscular splits in jean shorts.
I'm sorry, I don't
Um,
see color. Yeah.
this
Uh,
guy.
anyway, hello, Thundero. Hello to everybody. It's been a couple of weeks, and Thundero, I need a vacation.
You need a vacation.
I do. Yes.
Been working too hard, huh?
My God, dude, I am sore all over, man. I swear.
Sore.
Yeah, well, I've been driving everywhere, been on damn airplanes. To get to my airport, I got like an hour and a half, 2 hour ride to get to the airport. Then I have to go in the plane, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's not completely over yet. My wife, it's a red letter day today in Japan. Of course, not for me, but my wife is off, so she's around. But she decided to go to jazzercise this morning. So for the first time in what, 2 weeks, I have quiet.
Hey, quiet is better than disquiet.
That damn right it is, dude. I mean, I love seeing the kids and stuff like that, but it's just constant noise. I didn't realize how much I do enjoy this kind of quiet time in the morning because I get a couple hours where I just work on my translations, and I'm a
Yeah.
pretty busy person. But those little quiet times are important, man. And
Mm.
you don't realize it till you don't have it. But nevertheless, it was nice seeing the kids. I certainly enjoyed that, and we went a lot. They went shopping a lot, and they went eating a lot, and I drove. That was my job,
That
and
was you. That's what
that
you did, huh?
was me. That was what I did. I didn't have any good food this year, though. It was all kind of crap. Everyone else seemed to like it, though. I did have a nice steak, though. Nice wagyu
Mm.
steak. I get that every New Year, though. But how about you?
Oh, I have. Let's see. What have I been doing? Nothing really. It's been glorious, actually. Right now I'm eating a steak. In fact,
Ooh,
funny you mentioned
nice.
steak.
Yes.
Um, No, I haven't really been doing much. We didn't really do anything. We watched Cobra Kai on New Year's, the wife and I. Watched all of it, the whole new season. Um, Other than that,
Well, don't
nothing
get too
major.
far ahead on that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So, uh, but that's good. Yeah, I kind of miss American steak a little bit. I mean, I have access to really, the wagyu that everyone in America is all crazy about. And it's fine. But if I'm going to do some little thing with some accents of beef, Japanese beef is good for that. But if I want to have a big old
Mm.
steak, man, it's just too damn oily.
Yeah, yeah. I'm eating. See, because I'm starting to get back into the swing of watching what I eat because I kind of took a break there with my dad and the holidays.
Ah, sure, yeah, yeah.
So I'm getting back into it, and it takes time. That's the thing people screw themselves over on. They jump right in, they go all in, and then they just get burned out. They're like, "Screw this, I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
But if you ease yourself into it, it's way easier. So I'm easing myself back into it. So I'm eating round steaks, eyes of round. So they're just
Ooh.
like the little, like yeah, the little ones. But you make a few of them, and then you get like 8 ounces or 9 ounces of it, and not bad at all.
Well, to be fair, when it comes to dieting, you can eat as much meat as you want. Meat's not
Yeah.
an issue. Yeah. But anyway, it's good to hear you getting back in it. And like I said, I'm starting to get back in my routine now. This is a normal week. I got all my normal classes, all my normal stuff. I got my packet for this quarter for my translation. So the world is right. Daisies
World is
are
right,
still
he
not
says.
here, but I did enjoy a couple of not much. I was pretty busy, but I did see a couple of nice documentaries. I watched the history of Germanicus in Germany. That,
Oh,
and I also watched a little bit on the on Carthage and stuff like that. So I kind of had a Roman break.
I have a question.
Yeah,
You'll know this probably.
maybe
Is Germany named after Germanicus or is Germanicus named after Germany?
the latter.
Okay.
Of
That's what I
course,
thought, but I couldn't
yeah.
remember.
Of course, Germanicus got that from his father, and it was like an honorary title, meaning the Lord of Germany, right? Is what it really
Yeah.
meant. And of course, Germanicus, most people don't know, have a clue who he is, although he would have been emperor if he didn't get poisoned to death. But of course, everybody knows his little boy Gaius, though.
Hmm.
You know, the one that the soldiers nicknamed, because you run around the soldier camps, which is, great idea to put your boy in a camp where you're out murdering Germans. But they called him the little sandal.
Yeah.
Caligula, that guy.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I watch boring things according to you
It's
guys.
amazing to me. Well, that wouldn't be boring to me. That would be interesting. But watching people, varnish things, that just sounds like hell to me. Um, but
Yeah.
learning about like Roman history or, really any history. I like world history. American history used to bore me when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've found a much greater appreciation for it because the reality of it is American history really is Roman and Greek history. It's all one continuation. And that's how we get to where we are today, right? Obviously.
Right. Right.
So when you look at it through that context, I think for a lot of people, it's much more interesting
Oh, I
because
think it
America
is.
didn't come about in a vacuum, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants,
Well, we are the new
and
Rome.
yeah,
Yeah.
for now, and but anyway, so I would actually be quite interested in watching, documentaries about Rome. I have many times on
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever. You can watch anything on fucking YouTube. Um, all sorts of stuff, and some of it's accurate, some of it's a little embellished, depending on where you're watching it at.
Oh well, I
But
watch the accurate stuff, which I don't know if you
yeah,
guys would like, but yeah, I like the detailed stuff. Yeah. No, that's true.
but I like the history of Rome. I think it's a place that we know so much about and yet know very little at the same time.
Well,
Amazing.
and that's true. From my various just required studies when I was back in school, and of course just through my life, I know a little bit about all history. But
Hmm.
that's not my specialty. My specialty is ancient, the ancient world, not something as modern as Rome, right?
Right.
So I kind of know all the general stuff, but all the details. I mean, I know who Germanicus was, but do I
Hmm.
know all the tactics that he and of course, what was his opponent there? The Germanic. Oh God, it starts with an A. Anyway, the other guy on the other side. I didn't know about all the detailed, things that happened in the various battles, because that's what this was. It was a breakdown of each battle and exactly what happened and how troops were moved and all of the politics and diplomacy and all that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't know all those details, and that's kind of neat to get into that. Other
That
than
is that is pretty cool.
it is,
Rome, like you said, America's the new Rome. I think that's probably a fairly accurate assessment.
it is.
We used to anyway take a lot of Roman caricature, a lot of
Oh,
its
we do.
its cultural stuff, and use Roman Latin in our a lot of things. Um, so it's fascinating to me to watch things about Rome and see the parallels between now
Yeah.
and then because history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
It most
And
certainly does. What a great quote.
we are in
Uh,
a rhyming phase big time right
yeah,
now, it feels like.
yeah, I love that. I love that saying. But no, I mean we're nowhere near as bloody as the Romans were. To be fair,
No.
I mean we put our nose in where we shouldn't sometimes, but we're nowhere near as
Like they did.
bloodthirsty. Yeah. But and that's one of the hardest things about watching the Romans stuff, and because I'm always just trying to expand my knowledge and enjoy it at the same time. But the Romans, no matter whenever you watch a Roman documentary and one that's an honest, portrayal of what really, actual facts based, they were bastards, dude. They were absolute
Yeah.
bloody bastards, and you're always rooting for the other guy. You know they're gonna lose. I already know they're gonna lose, but I'm rooting for them because fuck Rome, dude.
Yeah, they were rough.
They were
They
very rough, dude.
if you don't know, look up what decimation means. If you don't know, look up the tactic that they would often use where they would go in and effectively murder 75% of the people and then the rest just kind of gave in.
Yeah,
they,
well, I
they just
mean,
got their whole families just got wiped out in front of them. They were
sure.
brutal.
Yeah,
Crucifixion is probably the most brutal form of execution we've ever come up with as humans,
oh
and
yeah,
they did it regularly,
And there were many
regularly.
forms of it. It wasn't just,
Yes.
the one that people traditionally know. But yeah, no, though they had different ways of approaching the battle. It
Yep.
could be something as simple: if you give up completely, well, we'll only take about 20% of your population as slaves, right?
Yep.
If you don't, well, we're going to anybody who happens to live after the battle, well, they'll go to slavery. I mean,
Yep.
complete annihilation, right? But anyway, we're not here to talk about Rome, but that's just what I was doing.
What we should talk about real quick
Mm,
is apparently the news just dropped that
yeah.
Bob Saget died.
Oh, Bob.
Yep, they found him dead in his hotel room in Florida.
Aw, he was an old dude.
65.
Oh, wow. I thought he was older than that.
No.
Bob Saget is a very interesting character. Of course, he was on that TV show I couldn't stand, but it was very popular, though.
Yeah,
And
Full House.
Full House, yeah, people love that. But I was the wrong generation for that.
I didn't like
Um,
it either. I
nah,
was the right generation.
Were you? Yeah, I didn't care for it. But the thing with Bob Saget, though, that's interesting, even though he plays this ultra super sickeningly wholesome dad on that show, he's actually a very foul-mouthed kind of pervert dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
super raunchy.
his jokes are legendarily awful, you know, um, which means he's just kind of a normal guy. And he's nothing like the persona he played. But that's too bad to hear, man. I mean, he was very popular guy back in that day for sure. And I think if I'm not incorrect, I usually do a little research before this stuff, but I do believe he's been involved behind the scenes in lots of stuff.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, he's one of those dudes.
he's one of those dudes who took a television show that was wildly successful, no question, and turned it into a full on empire. He was worth, I think, like almost $200 million, something like that, because he took the money he made from Full House,
Yeah.
and obviously he did America's Funniest Home Videos forever too, but he
Mm,
was a producer and stuff on
that's
that. So
right. Yeah.
he not only got money for being the host, he got kickbacks for every time it went into syndication. He got extra money. Like he knew what he was doing. He was very smart when it came to that sort of thing. Like you were just saying, he was very good at branding because
Yeah,
his
no, he
comedy
was.
was very adult and very raunchy, but yet
Very,
nobody
yeah.
knows him for that. Everybody
Yeah.
knows him as just like a dad figure, and he
Yeah.
wasn't that at all.
No, he
He's
wasn't.
not at all.
But therefore what you're telling us with America's Funniest Home Videos is he's responsible for TikTok. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob. All right. But that is a shame. And condolences to his family. I thought he was older than that. Now that's way too young, dude.
Yeah.
But Howl Comics says Attila. Well, technically, Attila was, Anatolian. He was a Hun. He's not
Yes.
German. Dumb's the name. Yeah, he died, dude. Bob Saget. We just got the news, and yeah,
Are there
so.
still Anatolians, like actual ones around, not Turks? Or did the Turks, did
Oh
they get.
no. Yeah, they are. They just live in places that we call Scandinavia and Ireland and
Yeah,
Britain
it's
and stuff
true.
like that. Yeah. So. Um,
This world's so weird. It's so weird what people choose to focus on, especially when it comes to like race and ethnicity and stuff.
oh yeah.
Because things like that, right? So the Turks became a thing when during the expansion to the west from the what's his name, the Mongols. They eventually became a thing, and then
Genghis Khan.
but before that, their ancestors, the Anatolians, and before them, which became the Caucasians,
The
spread also through
Vandals,
Europe.
the
Yeah, just
Goths.
raped and pillaged their way through Europe,
Oh
killing
yeah.
who knows how many.
Oh yeah.
But yet everybody gets all uppity about. It's
Well,
just weird to me.
why do you think
It's a weird thing.
the Germans are so bitter? I mean, there's a
They
reason
are
for
a
that.
bitter people. It's true.
Yeah.
And
They've been getting
angry.
their
They're
heads
just an
pounded.
angry people.
They are. Yeah. But no, I mean, you got to keep in mind we don't know the whole story yet, and I don't want to get into some big, history conversation, but we don't really know yet. But the white peoples, the whites, as they say now, or the
Whites. Hmm.
YTs, we're coming somewhere out of Asia.
Yeah.
We're certainly. we're coming out of those, what we would call Oriental today, Mongolian, Korean, Japanese. We're coming out of that somehow. We don't
Yep.
know exactly yet. There's a lot of evidence pointing that the Orientals themselves actually came out of the Americas. It's looking more and more that the Americas are actually the birth of the non-Negroid people. There seems to
Interesting.
be separate lines. I don't want to get into that whole back because that's a lot of speculation. However, we do know that I think the idea that the Altai people, who are very important here in Asia, and most people never heard of, the
Hmm.
Swan people,
Yep.
the general historic concept or idea is that they came out of the Holy Lands, meaning they're a type of Semitic people, and
Hmm.
they ended up because of war and stuff. They ended up got pushed over into Russia and Mongolia area. I don't think so. I think it's the opposite. I think they're the ones that came in because you got to understand these white people that
What?
really start getting recognized when they showed up in Anatolia. They're the
Hmm.
ones who brought all our modern religion, all our modern techniques, farming, all of that stuff came out of those people when it gets introduced into the India, Middle East, and Europe. So
Yep.
now some people argue that it was actually a west to east and then east to west, and
Hmm.
that might be true because before that it's so convoluted, right?
Right.
But we do know they're the ones that brought all that shit in, right? All of it. These Anatolians, these whites, and they were real whites. They're not like the Turkish people today. The Turkish people today have been, Islam ated. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, they were blonde, tall, blonde, blue-eyed,
Yep.
red-haired people,
Look
and
like they walked right off a Viking ship. Just
yeah,
here
they
you
look
are.
just like
Here
that.
they
Yeah.
come.
And the original Jews, for instance, everyone's always on about Jews. They are Anatolians. They're
Yep.
not what you see today. Time changes things,
Yes.
but we don't know where they came from. Where did they get it from? That's the question. But yeah, the modern Anatolians you find in Scandinavia and Britain and places like that. So
I just
eh,
find it interesting. It's just one of those things that interests me because we have this idea, and I've heard people even make assumptions to this, that humanity never, until the age of exploration, we didn't really go outside of our bubbles. Right now, most people didn't, but some people did,
a lot
and
of
a
people
lot of
did.
some people
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Uh, but the peasants and whatnot, they probably didn't much, but others did. They wandered about, and then when disasters would happen or famine or whatever, people didn't just stay
They
there and
moved.
die. They moved.
Yeah, that's right. And you have traders and
Uh,
stuff. And luckily that is one aspect of history that there's a lot of things that the authority is what I call them,
yeah,
that say that is so stupid, right? That oh the ancient people didn't go anywhere, and it's like, dude, clearly they did. You
obviously
have evidence
nonsense.
everywhere that they did. You give evidence that they did inadvertently, and then say they didn't. It's
Right.
stupid. The ancient people
Well,
were
the idea. Think
traveling all
about it
over the
for a
world.
second. Think about it for a second. The Romans knew about the Chinese and vice versa, and they traded with each other.
Oh yeah, for
How would that happen
centuries.
if people didn't travel?
Yeah.
Like they just guessed, they got lucky. Hey, there's people over there. They got stuff we want. Let's
Right.
go check them out.
Well, the first Silk Road was actually mainly water based, and it was with Egypt and China,
Yes.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Exactly.
but I mean, you have the Americas are full of ancient sites that have Sumerian, cuneiform writing. There's Egyptian writing. There's of course the Jewish writing is Egyptian, but whatever. It's all over America. They have these artifacts that have been found, but yet no. What are you talking about?
No,
We have
they didn't come
literally
here.
thousands, especially Sumerian with the cuneiform. We have thousands of cuneiform writings on stones and rocks and caves and all across America. Thousands of them. It's clear the Sumerians were over there. It's clear. And if you listen to the Indian stories, they talk about the bearded gods who came over. Probably the Sumerians, right? I mean,
Yep.
especially when you have all that evidence, but that the authorities dumb. But the good thing is, we're getting a lot of young people who youngish, like my age or a little younger, in the historical world that are pushing the narrative. They finally got sick of it, and they're like, "Screw you!" and they're pushing the narrative, and that's what we need. We need to discuss everything.
Yeah,
Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's wrong. Well, it's okay. Let's talk about it and therefore eliminate it, right?
yeah, I
And of
agree.
course, that's always been a problem with this
I
authority.
like
But
how I like how they described them as bearded men, because as a person with a lot of Indian blood in me, I can assure you, growing a beard is not easy for me,
yeah,
because they're not a bearded people. I mean, some of them sure do, but
well,
by and large, they don't.
why do you think they call them the Amazons?
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason, right? Let's see. Alan says marijuana is not a drug. I used to suck dick for coke. What? Bob Saget. That's right. That's right. That's Bob Saget. Thank you very much, Alan, for that vision. Chester is young. Joshua, fuck you, man. But I'm not
Joshua's
old.
the
I'm
young buck
middle
around
aged,
here.
sir. But anyway,
Yes, so let's be honest, bud. You're not living to 103 or whatever, whatever half of what you would be
it's
is.
true. I got about 10 years left. That's probably true. Yeah. I told my wife to get ready. So,
Oh God, poor woman.
yeah. Well, she's
Well,
young to
she's
me.
Asian, so she's probably expecting you to live to be about 85, 90.
Well, all her grandparents and old aunties all live into their 90s. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
poor lady.
Oh, well. Yeah. The funny thing is, though, if you go look back and look at the demographics of say Egypt, they
Yeah.
you have so many references to people living to 100, years old, right? Then you come to Greece and it's like 90 to 100, right? Then Rome is like 80, 90, and of course as you go through time, we're dying younger and younger and younger, and then you have
Hmm.
just the 500 years ago people were living to what 30, right?
Yep.
And in Africa, the average age is what 27 right now. And then all of a sudden, in the past 100 years or so, we just when we're back up to Greek times. But it is interesting when you look at that because it's another one of those examples that doesn't make sense. As we move forward in time, we should get more advanced, not less.
Hmm.
But that's not the reality. Anyway,
It
let's
is
get
interesting.
into what we have to talk about today. Because if we don't, I'll talk
Do it.
about history all day. And they're going to yell at me. They're going to yell
Do it.
at me. They
It's
always do.
true. I might even
You might even, yeah. It's enough, Chester. Shut the hell up. All right. Anyway, here we go. Alrighty. So
see what we
get
got.
this up, get all this back up, and then let's bring it in here.
Oh,
Alrighty. Go ahead.
my boy. Hideo Kojima announces he will move to the next level of experimentation with a radical project. Kojima, didn't you just promise that with your last game, buddy?
Well,
And it
it
was a
was
walking
weird.
simulator?
It was
That
weird.
was, yeah, it was. It wasn't fun though. but
Yeah.
the weird thing is for a lot of people love that game. Like genuinely, I know people who've played it multiple times,
Mhm.
and if you ask them why, they don't know. There's just something about it. I just get pulled back into it, and I'll just play it, and I'll walk around, and it's just there's something about it. It's like going on a long walk by yourself, and it just relaxes them. Now, obviously, there's more to do it than just walking, but the vast majority of the game is you just walking from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's your postman in the future,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
and it's
Uh,
it's that concept isn't a terrible idea.
mhm.
It's just it's not. I don't think it's what people expected. Is the big
No,
problem?
that's
I
true.
think people
Yeah.
were expecting some kind of like Metal Gear like horror game,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
some aspects of that, but the in between those aspects is very much not that. It's just
No,
walking.
it does, however, have a complete story, though. It does have
Yes.
that. Well, here's the thing, where Roger's saying hopefully Kojima has jumped ship to Xbox. Well, that's the main reason I put it up here, Roger, because he doesn't. This article is a lot of words to not tell you anything. But Kojima is doing something. It seems it might be horror based, which thank freaking God. I mean, that's where he needs to go. Kojima needs to go horror. That's what I think is his real forte. But the main thing I took out of reading this article, and you can go read if you like, it's pretty lengthy, is the fact that he's going to be working with Microsoft. So he's going to be doing
Interesting.
Xbox exclusive stuff. So his next project, at least that. That's really what I got out of the article is he's going to be working for Microsoft. And he gave some hints, and we can look at them and try to figure out what he means. But understanding what Kojima means is kind of rough, man. Of course, we have this. Okay, I don't know what that means. He got okay. Here's a picture. Let's look at our picture here. Because he does do this. He loves to drop little hints and Easter eggs. So we got a desert dune. We have something open I can't read there, but there's probably something important on that little laptop. He's got a tomato. He got a ducky. He's got
A Wired magazine.
a Wired magazine. He's got a chimp head, some kind of
Yep,
mask.
chimp skull.
Is that an
Then
old
a
Sony
human face.
Walkman?
It does indeed look
I don't
like a
know who the
Walkman.
hell that is. Some
I don't know
weird.
what that book is. What is that book?
It's some band, I think. I can't read the title; it's too blurry. But all right. But there's more pictures though. He's got some stuff here. He's got the baby from Death Stranding. He's got some, Jesus praying hands, COVID
Interesting.
stuff. He's got some other stuff here. Where there's a ship. Looks like some kind of spaceship. So maybe he's doing something spacey. I don't know. I don't really care. I do enjoy usually the storytelling of Kojima. I think he's fun. I think his games can be kind of buggy, to be fair. But I'm not a hater. Some people hate Kojima and they bitch about him all the time. Razor Fist being prominent amongst them. But I've enjoyed several of Kojima things, and he's an absolute legend in Japan. He's like the most famous creator in Japan, right?
Yeah.
So he can do no wrong here. Um, but nevertheless, I think it's cool. He's definitely says he's been lackadaisical, but he's getting back to it hardcore here in 2022. So there's definitely something coming from Kojima, and it's going to be with Microsoft, and it might be horror based. And God, I hope so. Anyway, that's all I have. What do you think?
I like Kojima. I think Death Stranding was a terrible idea. It just it just was. Personally. Simply because it wasn't what his fans expected. Had he done better at setting expectations, I think, especially considering what he was working on before, and the fact that he brought in the exact same actor from what he was working on before that got shut down, which was a Silent Hill game.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think had he not done all of that and just made Death Stranding, I think it would have been received a lot better. But because he set these expectations of something else, and the trailers were real creepy, like it looked like a horror game. That's what it looked like he was making, some kind of horror game, and that's just not what we got.
Yeah.
I think that really hurt his brand. Now,
No,
for
I
me,
agree.
Metal Gear Solid is one of my favorite series of all time. I love the fact that it's ridiculously verbose and ridiculously full of itself.
Yeah.
I find that very entertaining because it does that, but then it's also very unserious at times. So I really like that dichotomy, I guess, where it's super ridiculously serious and philosophical and all this deep stuff, and then it's just silly other times. Um, and I love Metal Gear Solid. It's like I said, one of my favorite series. So I hope Kojima can find his mojo for this next whatever it is. And what I actually would want him to make is he probably can't make Zone of the Enders 3 because I don't think he has the rights to it,
Uh,
but he could make another mech game like Zone of the Enders. His Zone of the Enders series is some of the best mech games ever made. Some of the best games, really. They tell a really they're really good, and they play on a fucking PS2. They play unbelievably smooth
yeah.
with at incredibly high rates of speed. Like it's impressive what he got that thing to do.
He seems to be
And
better with the old stuff than the new stuff, to be fair. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would like for him to make something like that. And if he's dealing with space and spaceships or something, which is what it looks like he's doing, that could be pretty cool. That could be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. And I understand exactly what you're saying about Death Stranding because you have Reedus in there, you have freaking Mads Mikkelsen and Guillermo del Toro, and that's what we got? Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
yeah,
Right? I mean, you could have went deep, ridiculously gorgeous horror, especially with Guillermo's design, because Guillermo's his design, a horror design, and his imagination is freaking epic, dude. It's wonderful. And Mads Mikkelsen is a mad ass actor. He's really, really good. And Norman Reedus is a pretty solid actor too. I remember the first time I saw Norman was in Blade 2, right? I think that's the first time I saw him. He played the sniveling little
Um,
betrayer in Blade 2. Spoilers.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah. So, but whatever.
Well, no, actually, no. The first time I saw him was in Boondock Saints.
Hmm.
Yeah, because he's in
I
that
don't know
movie.
if I've
That's the
seen
first
that.
place I saw him. Oh, bro, you gotta watch Boondock Saints. Listen, it's not a good movie, but it's really fucking fun.
All right. Well, that's cool. I like that kind of stuff too. I'm going to talk about a movie exactly of that description here in a little bit. But anyway, there you go. Kojima announcement for the new year is that he's going to spend this year banging his head against the wall and creating something. So that's always good.
It's
Because
actually good. Kojima is a net positive force in the gaming
yeah, he is.
industry. You need people like him who are just visionary and will try silliness, right? Just try things. Because imagine if he had nailed Death Stranding and he somehow created this unbelievable new genre of game that's just about walking around, but he somehow made it super interesting and fun. That could have changed the whole industry if he'd have hit that. If he'd have nailed that, he
If it had
didn't,
hit, yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. If it had
But
hit, yeah. But yeah, and of course he's always trying to push his Fox engine, and he's always trying to improve that aspect, and that's always handy too. Because although people do complain about some of the bugginess, but you also have to look at, well, yeah, but look what else it does. So
mhm.
because here in Japan, he's not as well known or famous for his storytelling as I would imagine. It's his engine building. His that's what he's famous for here. But anyway, let's move on. Cool news, good fun news to start out with. Now, this right here, go ahead.
Oh, what do we got? AMC Networks enters the anime game, completes purchase of distributor Sentai Filmworks and streaming service High Dive.
Okay, AMC stands for American Movie Classic, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and they basically are the rerun channel, right?
Yeah, they
Okay,
well, they replay old movies, but they also recently have been making their own series. And like The Walking Dead is on AMC.
oh,
Stuff
okay,
like that.
all right. I didn't know that, but I know I've heard of them before. But nevertheless, as with many people, they're getting in on the Japanese stuff, and they got
Smart.
Sentai Filmworks here. I don't know much about Sentai. Of course I've heard of Sentai before. I mean, it's kind of impossible not to. But things like Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Rido of Healer, which I know is very popular here in Japan. Akame ga kills. I don't know that one, but the Japanese love to put kills on the end of shit. But $33 million they have invested. So yeah,
A
they're
bit of
not playing
cheddar.
around, dude.
That is a bit of cheddar.
That is. So there's not much in this. It's just simply saying that they've purchased it, and of course you got Cutie Honey as well, which I know that one. Another player getting into a Western player getting into the anime field, I think is a good thing because
Yeah.
right here is a good example. Ultraman. Now, the original Ultraman, I never watched as a kid. My kids, when they were babies, watched it because that's what Ultraman is. It's a baby show. It's like Sesame Street or Captain Kangaroo. That's what Ultraman was. It's for little kids, little baby kids, like the Go Rangers or the Power Rangers in America. That's for a elementary school. The Ultraman is even littler. But what did they do? They aged it up for their market, because their market's aged up. And this Ultraman animated series is a straight on teen to adult anime. And I watched it and I was like, "Oh, that's not bad. It was interesting." So, and the reason why is because you had Netflix directly involved and funding it. Now, that usually can be a bad thing when the word Netflix comes into it. But however, what I'm trying to explain is when you have Westerners and you have Japanese, collaborating on anime, you get stuff that is much more appealing to me personally. I think it's a good thing to see more and more Western groups hooking up and working with the Japanese. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I do too. Well, it's a good thing when it's done well. It's a good thing that it can help revitalize some older stuff or grow the audience of some things like I would venture to guess that Cowboy Bebop as a brand has done better thanks to the Netflix show, not worse.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
no,
good.
the original. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing because it's an absolute damn masterpiece and it deserves it.
A Jet Jaguar, Dave. Yeah, no, no, it is. It's a really good show, and I think we all wanted more of it because that's the only problem with Cowboy Bebop. It's too short. But we definitely don't want more of that shit. However, a little bit of because this thing about Netflix, we complain about Netflix a lot, and deservedly so. But there is somebody over there at Netflix that has a brain, though, because yes, they had their Cowboy Bebop, which failed spectacularly, but they also put the original on there for you to watch, and that took off and became it got more eyes on it than ever before. So. It's weird. Someone at Netflix is kind of behind the scenes saying, "All right, and trying to put a little bit of lifeguarding in there, don't you think?
Mhm. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Be nice.
Because, a lot of that crap is, well, crap.
Yes.
I don't know why I paid for Netflix.
Well, I got it back uh, I, just recently because they don't do free trials, Netflix. At least not over here.
Oh,
So I decided, okay, I'll give them 1 month, and I need to cancel it, actually. I'll give them 1 month. Witcher's coming out, Cobra Kai. See, I got $12 or whatever it is. That's fine. And then I'm going to turn it right back off. Mainly just because the only real reason that even happened is because I wanted to watch Cobra Kai with the wife. And in order to stream it, it's just a big pain in the butt to do it out on the nice TV. Right? You have to
right.
hook up a computer to it and all this. It's just not worth the effort. If the $12 it cost me is worth less to me than the time it takes to set all that up. So,
That's fair.
so
That's
12
fair.
bucks. Okay, now we can watch the whole thing on our nice big giant 60-inch TV or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I get that. I got the same kind of setup over here. But I know I have Netflix and Amazon. Mainly the kids use it, and Junko does too. There's a lot of Japanese stuff on there, of course. I do have a VPN, so I can shift things around if I need to, if I want to. Although Netflix tends to be just an unbelievable long list of I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
But I we had Disney Plus for a very very short time because my daughter had bought it, and of course you can share. So we were watching a little bit, but there was nothing to watch, so I didn't watch anything on it, and she got sick
Right.
of it like instantly and got rid of it because it was like, yeah, she don't want to pay, she don't want this. This is nothing on there she wants. Because she's an adult now. She doesn't have her own kids yet, so she doesn't want to, we don't need the Lion King. I think she had it on because I think she got it because she wanted to watch Loki. She's a huge Tom Hiddleston fan. She even met him
Oh,
at
yeah.
the Comic Con. She paid all that money. It was expensive, dude, to
Oh,
go and
boy.
which I should let me reiterate. I paid for her to see Tom Hiddleston. Um, but she was really looking forward to Loki, as I think many of us were. And it
Yeah.
turned out to be kick Loki in the balls, literally, and make him a sniveling, useless shit as we bring in Lady Loki, right? And that's exactly what they've been doing, and it pissed her off, dude. Pissed her off. And they don't understand the people. Men are always the last to know or the last to be asked. It always comes down to women. Everything when it comes to anything that has to do with capitalism is always about women, and usually it's about that little tight, 12 to 16-year-old demographic girl, right? Men don't have a say in that shit, and we never have and never will. But what they don't understand is they think they're putting something out there to get the women's attention. Yay! But the women don't like it
Yes.
because that they want to see sexy dudes. That's what they want, man. And it's a perfect example of my 20-something-year-old daughter, desperate to see sexy Loki and very pissed off that they turned him into a simp because that's what they did. And we're going to get to the Witcher here in a minute, Lady Celtic Moon, for damn sure. Anyway, let's move on. But I think it's good to see more people getting involved in anime. In general, I think it's good. Let's get into the Alec conversation. We haven't really talked about it much here, dude. But I've been sitting
Um,
back, kind of watching it, Thundero, and it's
yeah.
spiraled, dude.
Yes. Alec Baldwin has not yet handed over cell phone to police following killing of Helena Hutchins. That's a name. Retrieval has now become the main focus of New York and Santa Fe authorities.
All right, talking about
So, in other words,
privilege.
he's going to just give it to Hillary Clinton and let her handle it. Got it.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, talk about privilege, though, right? Because you and I, we'd be in holding. Maybe we'd be on bail, and all our shit would have been day one. Day one. How many months are we past now, and he still hasn't turned in what he was supposed to turn in? Really? Right? It
Yeah.
shows you the privilege. And of course, he's got to the point now that even Nicolas Cage is calling your ass out, Alec. I mean, Jesus, of all people, Nicolas Cage is calling you out for your bullshit. But of course, we have many things. I could have filled the whole list with Alec Baldwin. There's many stories that are going on. But this is the real thing that's pissing people off. Is this right here? Go ahead and read this headline.
Alec Baldwin says killing of Hutchins on the set of Rust is the worst situation I've ever been involved with.
The worst situation I have,
Yeah.
right? I think it's a little worse for her, Alec, right?
Yeah.
And he continues in both these articles, and there's many articles, guys. And like I said, I kind of not touched this yet because it's just so much bullshit we don't know, but we're starting to get to a little bit of information now. But here's the thing: this guy's narrative has all along been about him. In this article, he talks about how great it is, everyone giving him great support and love to him about this tragic loss. Well, no, dude, she's dead. You killed her. Dick. I
Yeah.
mean, he's so out of touch. He's so vapid, right?
Well, that's giving him a lot of credit. I just think he's evil.
Oh,
I
well,
think
maybe it could
he's
be
an evil
direct.
person, did an evil thing, and he would like to not be held accountable for it. There's no excuse for Alec here. He's got none. I mean, he's done this for too long. He's been an actor for 40 plus years or whatever in a relatively mainstream capacity.
Yeah,
He knew better than to do anything that he did that day, and he did it anyway.
it's
If
true.
anybody else had done this, they'd be in jail
Of
right
course.
now.
At least out on bail. But
Yep.
the thing with it is, I mean, I grew up hunting. I'm well versed in guns. I know gun safety, and I'm good, pretty good with using guns. But
Yep.
I have a feeling this guy's probably had guns in his hands more than I have in his
Yeah,
life.
for sure.
You
I mean,
know?
he's been in how many movies where westerns and things. He's been in all sorts of different films where guns were on set, and
Yeah.
he knew the protocols very well. And if he pretends like he didn't, he's lying. He's not a complete moron. He knew them,
No. Yeah.
and he was a producer on this thing, so he not only knew the protocols, he was responsible for their enforcement, at least to some capacity, as a producer, as a
Yeah.
person of authority. So he knew better than this, and he did it anyway. And just like all these actors, you have a whole bunch of different actors have come out and said that what he's saying is nonsense.
A
It's
lot.
not
More and more.
just Nicolas Cage. Yeah, Nicolas Cage basically called him out on it. There was a couple others who did too. There was
Yeah.
the
Bo Duke came
yeah,
out.
yeah, him. He did too. He said that's you're just lying. This is just not true. Because at one point they were trying to play it off like the gun just fired itself, like he didn't even know, right? And then no, obviously that's not true. He pulled the damn trigger. Guns don't
Yeah. It
just
was.
fire themselves.
Well, you're
Uh,
practicing a scene. Of course it did. Yeah, no,
yes,
it's ridiculous. I mean, I've never been on a movie. Well, I have been in a movie set, but I've never been an actual actor on a movie set, right? And I don't really care who your armorer is or what kind of policies you have in place. If someone hands me a gun on set, first thing I'm do is checking it. I mean, just you put a gun in my hand, the first thing I'm doing is checking it. Is it safety on? Is there a load in the chamber? This is just from growing up with guns and Boy Scouts, my uncles, and things like that. I mean, it's like the automatic thing you do.
yep,
It's the fact that he didn't do any of that just shows the hubris of the man, right?
yeah. It's just pure hubris. It's pure narcissism manifested and literally manifested itself into a bullet that killed one person, nearly and wounded another. Um, there's no excuse for it. He needs to pay some sort of penalty for this. Regardless of what that is. Now, it needs to be severe, I think, but I would even just take a conviction, to be honest. Just even that, a breadcrumb to the plebs to show that at least the system has at least enough respect for us to put on a show, right? At least put on the show for me. Don't just piss on my face and tell me to like it. But give me
Yeah.
a show first.
Yeah, that's true. And Dave, yeah, I personally am the same as you, but my family is not. And honestly, it's not that much money. I don't really care, and I don't ever see money anyway. You want to see my wallet? It's empty. Yeah, my wife has all the money. Shocking. They all do. The women are the ones in charge. But anyway, I didn't want to get. I don't want to get too deep into it because it's such an obviously, obviously. But this guy, I mean, there's a time as an adult, right? And everybody in here listening is an adult by now, or at least I hope you are. One of the things you expect as becoming an adult is learning, wisdom along the way. And one of the most valuable lessons you can learn, and the biggest advice you can give to anyone is, yeah, dude, just shut up sometimes. Just know
Yeah,
when to
just be
shut
quiet.
up, dude.
Yep, yep. There's a reason that you have the right to remain silent. Just
Yeah,
shut up.
just
Just shut up. You
shut
don't have to answer. You can in America, at least as of now, you cannot be compelled to answer anybody. So just shut up. Just
Yeah,
don't talk. You don't have to say nothing. If somebody asks you, just be like, "My lawyers are handling that. I can't say anything."
yeah,
That's it.
and the
That's all you have
first
to say.
that's all you have to say. And the first tweet he put out was fine. It was some people got upset, but they shouldn't have. It was like, this is a horrible tragedy, loss of her. I have, I feel horrible. Whatever it was in that first thing, I remember reading it was fine. It was just condolences. This is a horrible tragedy. Okay, and that should have been it. We should not have heard another word from Alec Baldwin until this shit was sorted out. But he's done interviews, he tweets, he bitches about people bitching. It's like, dude,
Yep.
you're an idiot, dude. I
Yep.
guess Chester spent it all on the mountain. Joshua, don't you point out my inconsistencies? How dare you? Anyway, I spend money occasionally. Anyway, let's move on from this train wreck, dude. This next one, the,
Oh God.
okay, all right, go ahead.
Sam and Frodo are not homosexuals in The Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien made that quite clear.
Why am I
Yeah,
talking about this?
because there's people who are very, 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 very depraved and weird who see two men, well, not even men, two males engaging in camaraderie with each other and love,
Yeah,
having love for one another, and
yeah,
the only way their brain functions if that's sexual, because probably they've never had that in their real life, whether from a father or an uncle or anything. They've never actually had healthy love for another man.
yeah, yeah.
So they turn it into it has to be something depraved and romantic, at least.
Why are they so deviant? What's
They're evil.
happening, dude? I
They're
mean,
evil.
I enjoy sex
Simple.
too.
Me
Shocking.
too. Great.
Everyone does. It falls into the category, Thundero, of a time and a place for everything, right?
Yes.
I certainly don't see everything or even hardly anything through the lens of sex, without question. And all this crazy stuff you see, especially when it comes to children, dude. It's like,
Yeah.
why do you have? I mean, a lot of times they're being accusational, but why do you have that in your head anyway? Well, I deal with kids every day, and that never comes into my head. I mean, they're kids. Why would that
Right.
even be on your mind?
Well, and that's the other thing they've done. So because they've put this into the zeitgeist, if you will, all of this sexual stuff around children, and
Yeah,
because we're so much more aware, at least publicly aware, of pedophiles. It seems the culture is as a people we kind of are
that's true.
now. So many people are very reluctant around children. They won't really talk to them, or if they will, it's very brief. They don't say things that even just my parents would say to kids because it would sound creepy. And I get the that feeling too sometimes, and I understand where it's coming from. But it's also because it's like this induced reaction that because we've been inundated with this so much sexuality at all times, and everything has to have some form of brazen sexuality ensconced into it. Um, that when people see affection or play between an adult and a child, many people associate that with sex.
Yeah,
because their brain has been inundated by
their
it.
brain is broken, dude, because that's
Yeah.
not how humans think. They really
No.
aren't. The vast majority of humans, and I mean, 90+% of humans don't don't perceive children in this way. It's not we look at
Right.
children differently. There are different things in life that bring on different thoughts and reactions, right?
Yes.
And that's not true. And this and even getting away from the kid thing, just going into this thing, how could you read the book, but let's just we'll put it aside that a lot of idiots don't read, but watch the movies, which we know freaking hundreds of millions of people have watched those damn movies,
Oh, yeah.
and get any feel like that at all. It's very There's nothing there.
Nothing. And here's what it is that they'll pretend like Tolkien was winking at them. He was, because they're real intimate and they really love each other,
Oh,
and
you mean
they're
the
this.
ultra orthodox Christian guy,
Yeah,
Tolkien,
yeah,
that guy,
yeah,
winking?
the guy who put no sex in his book at all. Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing.
I don't think
There's
he
no,
even
there's
allowed the
no,
wink.
there's no reference to it. There's no. I'm trying to think. There might be a reference to boobs at some point, but if it is, it's very, very understated. It's just not there. It's not
Yeah,
there at all. The most that it's talked about, and it's not even really talked about. It's just kind of implied. Is Bombadil and his wife, right? They bang a lot. Basically, is what's implied through one of their songs, but
right.
it's implied. It's
Yeah.
not directly
Well, and
stated.
a lot of the little individual stories that got kind of thrown into the Silmarillion
Yeah.
talk about love,
Yes.
love and awesome tragic love. But that's very Shakespearean, isn't it? Or I should
Yes.
call it Baconerian. Let's use that because let's be honest about it. But yeah, it's very weird. But for me, it's more important because I know the idiots who are saying this have not read the books. I know they've watched the movies, maybe, right?
Right.
And I don't know how you watch those movies and get this concept at all. I just don't even understand why, and that's why I put it up because I'm like, huh?
Well, right, especially considering, I guess you could say that Sam's a bisexual, maybe, but especially considering that Sam, from very early in the movie, shows interest in a woman or a female, right? Like
Very
that
early, yeah,
waitress wench or whatever she is. There's this whole scene where he's just staring at her, like he clearly wants to be with her,
and he
and
does,
obviously that's the one he eventually marries.
yeah,
But there's no hint at all that he has a sexual or even romantic attraction to a male in the movie or the books. None. There's nothing like that. And
right,
it's also this. There's an old poem. I can't remember the name of it now, but effectively it's about a man who desperately wants a lord. Right? It's like a knight basically. He desperately his lord was killed and
yeah,
he was detitled and everything, and he wants all that back. But it sounds like a love poem, or what we would consider a love poem when you read it in modern, with modern sensibilities. But when it was written, it wasn't that.
no,
It is a love poem, but it's not a romantic love. And the problem we have, I think, is really just one of the English language, because we have this one word love that means so many different types of affection, whereas other languages largely don't have that. They have multiple different words that we would just translate into love. Like Greek does
sure.
this. There's like 9 different words for it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Stuff like that. And I
Well,
think that's part of the problem when we translate things from the past into today. But this here isn't even really that, because it was 70 years ago. It's not like it was a
it's
thousand years
not.
ago or
Now, I
something.
get your analogy because Frodo is a noble lord, and
Yeah.
that is Samwise's master. Yeah, I get that, and
Yes.
he refers to him many times like that. But in the
Yep.
ancient world, with zero sexual connotation whatsoever. It was the general principle throughout many, many, many cultures of the ancient time. The only true love a man can find, and this is non sexual, platonic love, is with a man
Yes.
because women
That's
are
right.
incapable of love. This was the
Yes.
general concept throughout most human history. You can only find love or true friendship with a man because women are cold and desensitized. And if you're being honest, they kind of are.
Right.
Yeah, I just saw this headline and I was like, why? It's so stupid. But then again, everything is that these days is dumb. So I'll move on
Yeah.
from it. But Dave makes a good point. Maybe the Beavis and Butthead mentality when you're 14 and everything's gay. Yeah, Yeah, but that mentality and it's not meaning homosexual. It means uncool or lame, right?
Yes.
Anyway, moving on.
First English language trailer for live adaptation of The Awakener takes the war to government corruption.
Now,
I'm
Vox
begging
Days.
Trent to I'm begging Trent to understand and become familiar with the comma. I'm begging
Yeah,
him.
no,
Just
it ain't gonna
find the
work.
comma on the keyboard,
It ain't
Trent.
gonna, ain't gonna work, Trent. It ain't gonna work. But this is a Brazilian comic book that's been turned into a movie here. And they're of course then they're putting it in English. Vox Day is somehow connected with the English distribution of the comic. I don't know why. I don't know anything about this, but I saw it and I thought it was interesting because it's not so much for this because I have no idea what this is. I'll play the trailer here. Leave the volume off, but um, what came to my mind when I saw this headline wasn't this anything to do with this, but what it is recently I've been watching a lot of foreign movies, not
Mm.
English Hollywood movies or BBC stuff. A lot of stuff, particularly a lot of Russian stuff. The Russians are kicking it out of the park, dude. Their
Yeah, I
their
heard
s-
that.
their special effects are gotten way better. They're telling the classic old stories. They like superheroes. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of really cool Russian movies recently. Now it helps. I understand it helps that I can actually understand a good chunk of Russian. Not all of it. It's one of my weaker languages, but it does. I get that. But subtitles and dubs are a thing. You know.
Yeah,
But we have this Brazilian thing here. There's some, oddly enough, for me, Indian stuff that's pretty interesting. They're starting to change. They're culturally shifting in India, which is interesting. I watch stuff from all over the world recently, way more than I watch American stuff, and thus satisfied. That's telling as hell, dude.
yeah,
That
that's
is
good.
not a. It is good, but it's also not good.
It's not
Right?
good for American cultural hegemony,
No.
but at the same time, it kind of is because I mean, just looking at this trailer, this looks like it could have been made in Hollywood. There's nothing about this that screams to me it's not, full on American, right? Um, but at the same time, I've watched some of the stuff from around the world too, like South Korea. They have a movie series called Along with the Gods. Really good,
Yeah, yeah.
amazing what they're able to pull off on like a $6 million budget. It's
Oh, the
unbelievable.
Koreans are killing it. It's unfortunate I can't stand the sound of Korean. Uh, uh,
Yes.
it's because they are killing it. They're really
Yeah.
out there hitting it hard. But it's just to put it forward. There's a lot of good stuff coming out. You talk about the hegemony of that because as Americans, and I know not everybody here is an American, but as Americans, we get this, America's greatest country in the world, most powerful country, yada, 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 yada. We get that all the time. Yeah, okay, fine. And in many ways, it is true. However, if you look at what we're truly great at, what America is truly the best at, it is our entertainment. That's where we're really, really good. And if that falls off, then what do you got? You got the mediocre at everything because that's where America is now. We're mediocre at everything. Right?
Yeah.
I understand it's the hub. I understand everyone comes there to make their money and to create their things and do their stuff. I get that, and there's also kind of good things like all the medicine that the world uses, Americans pay for to get research. There's a long, long conversation in this, but I'm just saying that if you really, really want to break it down, the thing that we're truly masters of, it's entertainment, and if we've let that fall off the frickin' cliff, Jesus, dude.
Well, that's the sign, right? That's the sign of a dying empire. It's when the cultural norms, the cultural institutions, or even religious, which those have in this country died a long time ago, to be honest.
Yeah,
When that stuff starts to wane, you're on the rocks. It's not much because that's where your people's focus is, right? That's your people's attention is in their culture.
yeah.
And if your culture is weakened or weak or flailing or whatever the nonsense our culture has become, if that's all true, there's no way for you to sustain a myth, a mythos that an empire is sustained by. No empire in the history of the world has been sustained by force. They're all sustained by culture, all of them.
Uh-huh.
And this we know this to be true because look what happened to Alexander's empire after he died. It couldn't sustain itself because it didn't have a unifying culture underneath of it, and that's why it fell apart and fell into many different empires.
Yeah.
What are we
Now
watching here?
I'm showing the wide Putin meme, but look at this badass. Look at this badass.
Uh,
Even in this meme, he's badass. I mean, you got to be kidding me, dude. Look at him.
wide
Look at
boot.
this. Look at the stride. Yeah, fuck with me. Go ahead. Right. It just came as we were talking about it. This came into my head because name a cool world leader. Name one.
Putin. I actually don't hate Bashar al-Assad as far as like he's just an interesting cat. Um, I like I don't know how you say his name, but Bolsonaro. I don't know how you say his first name. I think it's Jair or Yair. Um, but Putin is probably at the top of that list when it
Yeah.
comes to like the dude's just got swagger. I don't agree with most of the stuff he does, or at least a lot of it, obviously, and I'd probably be against it. But if I was living there, for most part, Putin leaves you the hell alone. He don't care. He doesn't have government agents coming and screwing with a bunch of normal people. From my all accounts, the Russian people I've ever talked to are Russian expats who came over here or whatever. They still like Putin. A lot of them,
Oh, they
like
love him.
they're living in America, they still love. They're like, yeah, Putin's great. What's the problem? Yeah,
Yeah.
he can be a little harsh, but hey, so what?
Yeah.
You know,
No.
he keeps the heat on for us. That's
Yeah.
he keeps us fed,
No,
right?
another one that's kind of cool is the Hungarian leader, which I can't even name him, but
Yeah, Orban,
that guy's
Orban.
beast for sure.
Yeah, Orban's pretty
Orban.
good.
But it's just look where we are. Look where we are, right?
Yeah,
But anyway, I'll move on from this. But the thing that caught me, I mean, this looks cool. I'm going to check it out. Why not? I mean, comic book adaptations I do tend to like. The Brazilians can make pretty good quality stuff, actually. But what caught my eye was the fact that the first thing that popped in my head when I saw this headline was how many foreign films I've been watching recently.
yep.
You know, so
Yeah, I
I don't
saw
know.
somebody I follow on Twitter. He had mentioned that it seems like the Russians, or he didn't even say seems. He said the Russians have taken over when it comes to like action movies and things like that. They're just at another level that the Hollywood is just way behind.
Well,
And
it's
the
classic.
few I've seen, that's true.
Yeah, it's classic 80s action movies is what it is.
Yep.
And their special effects have gotten way better, and their actors have gotten way better. I mean, I've still probably some of the best acting I've ever seen is either coming out of Britain, Canada, or strangely enough, Turkey. Right? I know that's a weird thing to say, but Turkey has a pretty good movie industry, and there's a couple dudes there that are serious actors, dude. But yeah, I mean, it's just I guess my suggestion is to go watch foreign films, guys, because they are cool, and Russia's putting on some fun stuff. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
And speaking of movies, that whole lead up was for this. Now, I watched this on Netflix.
Is
I
it a
know.
Russian or a not a
No,
Russian?
it's
Is it an Indian
Indian.
movie?
It's Indian, yes. And it's called Minal Murai. Now, I don't watch a lot of Indian movies because I don't like the aesthetic. I mean, and I think a lot of people agree. Indian stuff is just it's kind of ugly and weird, right?
Yeah.
And this is set in a little village, and it's interesting watching the life of the average Indian because it's not what you it's in many ways primitive and then not. So it's completely not what you would expect. There's no Bollywood dancing, so that's a plus. And you still have the weird twitching side to side head movement of the Indians, and you have all that kind of stuff, which is a little off putting. However, this is one of the best superhero movies I've seen in a long time. Yep, I said it. This
Interesting.
freaking Indian movie superhero is better than the crap we've been getting the past few years. It's honest and it's true and it's real and it's brave. I was really surprised at how much I love this freaking movie, dude.
It's
Especially because
good.
it's Indian, and I don't like Indian shit, dude. I just don't. I just don't like the aesthetic. But I'm suggesting you go watch this movie, and that says a lot because I don't but it's fun, dude. And I was, and it's one of those things that slip through the cracks with Netflix because they always want to put foreign shit on there. And so they're all about the foreign stuff and their diversity. And in this case, a little gem slipped through, right?
Right.
And dude, I suggest you go watch it. It has a real villain. It has real heroic stuff in it, and and in a way, all that weird little Indian village life kind of works in its favor, dude. I don't know. And it's tongue in cheek. It's got it's Indian comedy, so it's a little hard for us Westerners to catch 100%, but it's clearly a comedy as well. And everybody in this is ugly as shit. I mean, I'm talking about, you know, testicle hair ugly, dude, right?
Interesting.
And well, Indians are not attractive people. Let's be fair. But my God, and I feel they did it intentionally. I feel it was like this is like an anti-Hollywood movie. I mean,
We're
because
seeing a
they're
lot of that lately.
yeah,
We're seeing a lot of that lately, and
yeah,
it's working. That's the best part, because Hollywood's gone so to shit that when you see these movies that are purposefully trying to be not that, they end up pretty good
yeah. Well, see how
because
it's gonna
they're just trying desperately to not be garbage.
right. But you see that 8.2 rating out of 10? That's
Yeah,
real. That's honest. It's really, really good. I mean,
it's good.
if you can't get past the oddity of India, maybe you won't be able to enjoy it. But I'm the person who can't. But yeah, I love this movie. Love it. And it is 2 hours and 40 minutes, dude. And it's every bit of that time, by the way. The end credits are not that long. So it's a long ass movie. And when I put it on, my wife was like, oh my God, right? But of course, she fell asleep, but that woman can't stay awake more than 30 minutes. However, uh, I didn't even notice the runtime. I was like, wow, wow, wow. I was really, it's such a well done story. But anyway, let's see. Grimlock says Chester actually likes something. 2022 is looking to be a strange year indeed. Thanks, Grimlock. Dude, I love it. And dude, I say what I like, and I say what I don't like. I'm not afraid, right? But go watch this movie, guys. I mean, even if you don't have, you could find it elsewhere. I mean, it's not hard to find movies these days. But yeah, it's a cool superhero movie, dude. It's weird ass Indian shit. Anyway, let's move on. I'm assuming you haven't seen it.
No, I've never
Yeah,
even heard
yeah,
of it.
yeah. But I suggest you watch it, dude. It's weird, quirky, but it's beautiful and loving at the same time. It's a cool movie, dude. Anyway, let's move on here.
After embracing wokeness and seeing their ratings plummet across nearly all shows, the CW is for sale.
hmm That's about it. And are you surprised?
No. I am very sick of seeing men make that face, though. That is a feminine face. Don't do it, men.
Yeah.
Stop it.
What are you doing? Don't put your hand over your mouth. What are you doing? Unless you're trying to keep yourself from vomiting, and even then, projectile, baby.
Let that out.
Technic,
Get that out of you.
Technicolor yawn, man. I bet you haven't heard that in 30 years.
That's an
Anyway,
oldie.
yeah. But
But no,
what?
it's not shocking. It's not
No,
surprising. You can only push this stuff for so long. Now, there's one thing I will say. I think people rely too much on the phrase "get woke, go broke" because Hollywood's not going to go all the way broke. It's not even. It's
no, of
practically
course not.
impossible
No, of
for it
course
to.
not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But little individual things like a network and they're being down, that could happen, and that did happen. I think the CW has probably not been making money or not making anywhere near the amount of money that they were expected to.
No,
And here you go. Now they're trying to sell it. And this is one of the other things they'll do, right? So they know for a fact they can make some money off of these shows because they have brands on them, and people will come just to check out the brand. I did it with The Flash, and I actually liked the first two seasons a lot.
me too. I liked the
But
first two
then they
seasons.
just,
Yeah.
whoo, boy, did it go off the rails.
It did. Well, this is an article from Trent that's quite detailed. He goes into a lot of stuff, and Trent will do that. I mean, he does. He will get into putting all the information together, which is cool. But if you come down here and look at this stuff right here, their top 10 things and how much they're down. Look at all the red. Look at all that
Oof.
red. And if you look at the total viewership, it's very low, dude. Their top viewed thing, which is down nearly 40%, right?
Yeah.
is under a million viewers, and that's Walker, Texas Ranger with the supernatural kid in it, right?
Wow.
But I mean, they are just in the freaking toilet, dude. Look at, especially the viewers by millions. I mean, look at those numbers. That is ridiculous, dude. And what do we got? Walker, which I haven't seen. That's their most popular thing, and it's not popular. The Flash, of course, has been losing, been leaking for years. I don't know what All American is. DC Legends of Tomorrow is actually the only thing that's kind of flat. Batwoman, of course, is an absolute disaster. The 4400, how is that even still going on? Don't know what this is. Dynasty, they remade Dynasties, and that's flat.
Yep. It's
Jesus.
actually up. It's actually up from what it was last year
Yeah,
by
a
a
touch.
lot.
Yeah. Nancy Drew, of course, that's shit because you know they're not going to do actual Nancy Drew. You know, when I was a kid, we had the Hardy Boys books,
Yep.
which are very popular, and we all the kids reading them. And then they had a spin off out of the Hardy Boys called Nancy Drew. And she's,
You know what I'm tired of hearing though? Completely off topic, but I just thought about it because you were just talking about books that were famous when you were popular when you were a kid. So you had the
mhm.
Hardy Boys. I had Goosebumps. I
Yeah,
am
those are
real
good too.
freaking sick and tired of hearing these fucking boomers say that what's her name, Rowling saved writing, and if it wasn't for her, kids would have never read books. Shut the hell up. R.L. Stein sold $450 million worth of books.
Oh
Get out
yeah.
of here.
Oh no,
Shut
Goose.
up.
I mean, it's beyond my time, but those Goosebump books were great. Kids love
Yeah,
that shit, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but people just don't know that R.L. Stein is the biggest horror author of all time when it comes to book sales. He just is. He's bigger than Stephen King by almost 100 million sales. So don't give me this crap that Rowling saved. She didn't save. She didn't save the hobby of reading. She saved some publishing companies, but she didn't save the hobby of reading. People were still reading books and still buying them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like a massive concerted ad campaign from a bunch of people to promote a brand. If I'm
Well,
being honest.
where's the break that people are possibly talking about? I mean, in the 80s, there was a ton of books. Stephen King, a
Yep.
lot of kids read Stephen King. Of course, the Hardy Boys, all kids read that. But there were a bunch of things kids were reading in the 80s. And then the 90s, of course, you do early 90s and late 80s, I think you had the Goosebump stuff. And then in what, the late 80s, you had the Harry Potter stuff. So where's the break?
I don't know. I've just been thinking about that for like weeks. That people, because I remember it for years. People talking about how she saved reading, and oh, there's so many more kids reading now. Which there might be in number, but there's more kids than there ever were. So of course there are in number. Let's
Yeah.
look at the actual and adjust it. Let's see if that's even true. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't do anything. She did. She's obviously extremely popular. It's the best-selling series of all time. But it's just one of my pet peeves, and it kind of goes to this too, because look at these numbers. These numbers are abysmal. There are YouTubers who get more than that daily in their
Yes, no.
videos,
Yeah, it's bad, dude. Yeah, it's
and
very
there's
bad.
no way anybody can justify to me the scheme that is television because it's a complete freaking flim flam at this point. How in the world are these advertisers falling for it? They should be falling over themselves to give people like PewDiePie and these big YouTubers all the money in the world to promote their stuff, and yet they don't for some reason, because for some reason the world still looks at a YouTube view as not as valuable as a television view, and I
Yeah,
don't understand the psychology there.
old dogs, new tricks, dude. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of comments I can make on that. For instance, Margaret Weis's Dragons of Pern or Dragon Riders of Pern. I mean, huge. Piers Anthony books, my God. I mean, there's so many books from the 70s all the way until recently that kids and young adults have been reading consistently. So I didn't even know that was an argument.
Yeah, yeah, I heard it all the time, and you still will hear people pop up and say it, and it's nonsensical. It's not true. Now, publishing was on the rocks, but it was largely due to other ways, for people to engage with media. And what she did very well, and I think what other people like R.L. Stein did not do, is she didn't just build a book empire, she built a multimedia empire. That brand, the Harry Potter brand, Hogwarts, all that, they made into everything, right? They made
They
into
did.
they had video games and board
Sure.
games and puzzles and just everything. And that's why I think she like pushed, because the brand just kind of kept pushing itself, right?
Yeah,
Because it was in so many different things, toys, everything. There's everything Harry Potter, right? You could
sure.
probably find literally toilet paper. I guarantee you can find Harry Potter toilet paper.
I'm
Like
sure.
there's everything Harry Potter.
Well, I
And
mean,
that's brilliant on her part. That's not. I'm not dogging on Rawling here. I don't want that to be sound like that's what it is. I'm dogging on the people who set out this narrative for like 10 years that she saved publishing, or that
well,
she got a whole generation of kids to read. What the fuck are you talking about? Kids were
well,
reading anyway.
I'm glad that she did that. But Walt Disney did the same thing. Stan Lee did
Yeah,
the same thing.
yeah,
These guys were tireless, and that's why they were successful, and so was she. And I think she gets a little lippy sometimes, but in general, I good for her, man. I applaud her.
I do too.
Yeah, but
I think one of the reasons, besides the fact that she came out against the trans stuff, or at least the egregious
she's
amount
a
that is being
feminist.
pushed, I think one of the reasons that the establishment, or the lefty establishment, dislikes her is because she's a woman and she's so ridiculously successful. She's
Huh?
one of, if not the most prolific authors ever, period, in the history of mankind, and she's a female. And they can't have that because it destroys their narrative about patriarchy and all this nonsense.
Well, I think the word you want to use was successful, not prolific.
Say she's pretty prolific. She's everywhere. And she has more than just that book series. She also writes a like a detective series under a pseudonym as well that
Oh,
she's
does
written,
she? I
a
didn't know that.
best-selling one.
But I
Yeah,
mean, as soon as you said that, things like Philip K. Dick popped in my head. Isaac
yeah,
Asimov.
yes,
Margaret Weiss.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, whether anybody likes her or not, you got to put her in that conversation.
No, no, no.
She's
I think she's
amazingly
great
successful.
success, and I applaud her. But yeah, no. But looking at this stuff, we kind of get off with the Nancy Drew thing and the Hardy Boys. However, Riverdale, which of course, Archie comics, right? And
Yeah.
my mother, and of course, Archie's really for women. My mother loved Archie. Archie's been around forever. It's very has legs like nothing. And then the CW manages to screw that up.
Yep,
I mean, shit, a
they
quarter
made it
million
woke.
people are watching your damn episode. Are you kidding me?
I haven't seen any of the Walker show. I have no idea if it's woke or not. It probably is, since everything else on this list is. Um, but I know that Supernatural wasn't heavily. It was lefty. It was liberal, right? It had some of that in there, but it wasn't woke. It
Yeah,
wasn't this new nonsense we've been seeing lately, where they went way overboard with it. They did make some really stupid decisions, like getting rid of one guy and replacing him with a black girl, stuff like that. But other than that, it wasn't like Batwoman or any of that nonsense.
yeah,
But Supernatural was, I mean, one of their mottos they had was no chick flick moments, right? On the CW of all things, a chick channel. And
right.
it was on for what, 15, 16 years, seasons? Like ridiculously
Long, way too
successful.
long.
Yeah. And now you have look at them. Just look at them. They went full into it. They've dove in, head first, full woke, full nonsense, and nobody's watching it. I stopped watching the CW superhero shows right around Flash season 3 entirely. I didn't touch another one of them after that, and it was just I knew where it was going, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm out. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
see you later.
looking at this list here of stuff that, as far as their renewals and stuff, I thought was kind of interesting. Supernatural is still on here. It's probably in syndication, I imagine. Superman and Lois, which
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of good things about, it doesn't have a lot of viewership, dude. They've remade David Carradine's Kung Fu. Get out of here. Swamp Thing, which was cool, and they canceled it. Dumbasses. I don't know what all these things are, but I do see a lot of things in here that I'm not interested in the least, dude. Black
I don't
Lightning doesn't
understand
even
how
have
they.
Black Lightning in it. It's all about his girls.
How does some of these shows get renewed? Like, look at Dynasty. Look at those ratings. How does that get renewed?
I don't
How?
know. I don't know what they're doing with it. And it looks like Charmed has been remade as well. Look at
Yes,
that.
and it's terrible. Now, in fairness, uh, a half a million to a million on cable nowadays is pretty decent numbers comparatively. But regardless, when you take a look at just any other place where you can get entertainment, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or some of these other news sites, there's videos on there that are up for a day or two that'll have twice to three, four times the amount of viewers.
Millions of views. Yeah.
Yeah, millions
Yeah.
of people will
Even my
watch them.
boring
Millions.
ass shit has millions of views.
So I don't understand how. it's. I mean, I do understand it. It's a money laundering scheme anymore. It's the best way to put it. It's a scam.
Mm.
How are they justifying the prices that I guarantee you they're charging for advertising to keep these shows
Oh, of
going
course. Yeah.
with nobody watching them? Nobody. Less than. I mean, some of these shows have less people watching them than live in my city. How are they justifying that?
Yeah.
Like, I live in a big city. It's not that big. It's a medium sized city. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense how that's justified when you look at some of these other places which will have way more views and they're making pennies comparatively, right? It's
Well,
nothing.
true, but you also have. I mean, I understand the go woke, get broke thing, but you do have. There is an application here because the huge mistake they've been making all along is, we don't need men. We're cutting men out, right? Other than
Yeah.
the simps, and we're going to get that female viewership. But the problem is, women aren't interested in watching other women. Women want to see sexy dudes.
Yep.
That's what they want, right? So all well and good, cut men out of the equation, go right ahead. But you're not doing what you need to do to get the female audience that you want, right? This is not how you do it, and this is a perfect example of get woke, go broke, because
Well,
you're not actually getting the audience you think you want.
and that's the other issue, right? Is they know that, and yet they just don't do it. And you know how we know they know that? Because look at Marvel. All their biggest stars are the dudes, and they're all gorgeous, right? They're all fit. Some of them are just straight ripped, and they're very handsome men, very charismatic men, type of men most women would love to be with.
Oh yeah,
And yet, for some reason, we all have to pretend that the reason that their looks have nothing to do with it, that they're just pure talent, and that's all it is. No, 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 no. If they were
right.
hideous ghouls, they would not be in those positions. They just wouldn't be. It doesn't matter how good of an actor they are. And for some reason, we have to also pretend that women don't drive the market when they pretty much always
Always
have, at
have,
least for the
yeah.
last 100 years. They're the ones who drive the market, especially since women started working. They're really the ones who drive the market.
Yep.
And you have these shows, these shows here that have some of them have pretty good looking dudes in them,
Oh yeah,
but the rest of them have very effeminate, weak chinned, weak build men's with soft voices.
yeah. And
Women
strong,
don't like that.
the a la strong woman, right?
Yes.
But I mean, go to a mall anytime and tell me who the market is catering to. Just, go check it out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Show me an actual successful national men's store. There's very few of them that have stuff just devoted to men and men's fashion. There's some, but there's nowhere near as many as there are for women. It's not even
no, no,
comparable. It's
no.
a laugh.
The men don't have much choices in that regard. Joshua says, Male power fantasy." Well, you know what? So what? Yeah, men have power fantasy. What's wrong with that? Women want to see a sexy man romance thing, where she can envision herself as the woman in whoever the woman is. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's okay, right?
We
But
should be
anyway,
grateful as a species, and as Americans specifically, but as a human species, that for the last 100 years, almost 100, it's coming up on 100 years, the most popular mythological character in common popular culture is probably Superman, or he's
sure.
at least the most, he has the name recognition, and he is everything a man should aspire to be. He's strong, compassionate,
Hmm.
authoritative and firm, but also obviously very caring and loving. We should be very grateful that that is the caricature of the literally called the man of tomorrow that multiple generations of men have looked up to.
Right,
And the
and women
fact that
too.
they've yeah, and that's what I was going to get to. The fact that they've neutered him and literally turned him into a homosexual femboy um in the recent stuff just shows you that these people are insane and they obviously don't even know what they're actually after because women like Superman and some women like Batman largely because they're strong masculine archetypes.
Yeah,
That's why they like them.
well, a lot of women have a ridiculously long list of who their Prince Charming is, and
Yeah.
and Superman fills that where no other man alive could ever, right?
Yes.
And Batman's the bad boy, so of course,
Yes, he's the dark, mysterious one with all the money. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But let's move on from this. But CW done.
You
Done.
dunzo.
Now this is a more personal one to me, but go ahead.
As Dungeons and Dragons goes woke. Hey, hey, Trent does know about commas. What the hell, Trent?
He found one.
Superhero
Is it
RPG. He finally got one. Superhero RPG Alternative Ascendant tops best-selling charts at Drive-Thru RPG.
now?
Interesting.
Now, Drive Through RPG, I've been using for years and years and years. And if you're a tabletop role player, you can go over there and you can find thousands of games you didn't know exist. You can get just buy them pretty cheap as a PDF, or you can even order a print on demand business, I think is what they do. However, I think this is pretty interesting because people are rather frustrated with the D&D stuff that's going on right now, and I get it.
Yep.
Of course, the good thing about D&D is you can do whatever you want with it. You know, who cares what
Yes.
they think? Um, so it doesn't really matter. It's not as impactful as when Superman's made gay. It's not that impactful. However,
Yes.
I'm happy to see success for stuff, and especially superhero games because I love superhero role playing games. But this one's pretty interesting because I actually ran a series here on the Bugbear's Basement a while back. I ran a bunch of stuff. I'm playing now, which is cool, with Bill from Argos Creations running. But I rented a old Marvel superhero role playing game, and I've always felt that that was the best system ever made for just sitting down and having some fun real quick. There are better games for getting depth, for better character creation. Yeah, of course. But that old face rip system, it's just you just play. Here we go, we're playing, right? It was perfect for that. And what these people have done is they have cleverly stole that shit, and good on them, right?
I like
And
it.
if you come down here, I'll get back up to that thing in a second. But if you come down here and look at the system they put in place, they've definitely grabbed off of the old face rip thing, and they even admit it. The classic face rip and Meg's RPGs, of course. Villains and vigilantes. I think it was that one was called. But nevertheless, the system looks good. I'm buying this 500-page book. It's done. I'm buying it. But the thing I thought was also interesting, just looking at their top lists, right? The One Ring is selling like crazy. It's their number one, and it's been there for a while. This game, Root, which I know nothing about. And of course, here's Ascendant in third position. Like I said, this Root looks like you're playing animal type things, which is always kind of fun. Traveler, the Third Imperium. Traveler, Eternal, Twilight this is another Eternal series, but Traveler, my God, that thing has been going forever, just like D&D. But it's the black sheep though, because no one talks about it, right?
Mm.
Even though it's been around forever, it's still being made, it's still making money, and it's a great, great, great space fantasy, by the way. But I just put this up here because it's something I like, and I think it's cool that when you look at all of this stuff right here, I don't see any D&D anywhere.
Good.
Anywhere. And they sell on there. Keep in mind, they do. Pathfinder as well. But it's nowhere. It's nowhere, 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 nowhere. And how much am I gonna have to pay? I'm gonna have to pay what? $55 for that? God, don't tell my wife.
I
But
think you could afford it. Just
yeah,
sell
no,
a yacht or two. You'll be fine.
yeah. I'm actually a very frugal person, you know. I am. But I'm definitely going to buy it because it looks to me, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, they're also going to be releasing comic books, and there's even conversations about trying to do a video game and maybe even like an animation. So these people are serious. They're very serious about what they want to do. I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but they are serious. However, by looking at the system here and knowing, because I've played so many role playing games, guys, I can tell immediately what the system is just looking at this little shot. And I'm interested, dude. So I'm going to check it out. Anyway, I'll move on. But cool, man. But the fact that it's kicking D&D's ass, I don't give a shit. But of course it is.
I do think it is strange how people are losing their mind at the D&D stuff. Like, guys, it's a role-playing game. You don't have to follow
Hmm.
the rules. I don't understand. I
Yeah,
don't
but it
understand
is
the anger here.
it is insulting though. It is. I mean,
I
it's
guess. I mean, I
we
don't care about D&D. I think D&D fans take D&D way too fucking seriously, and they act like it's the only, it's the biggest thing of all time. There's way
yeah, fair enough.
too much importance placed on it. but at the same time, like I said, it's not for me. And I think it's silly. So like some of the changes that they're making where certain races aren't evil anymore or whatever, that kind of stuff. Just in your game they are. Who cares?
It's true.
Like why
And
does it matter?
and that's why I don't get that butthurt about it, really,
Yeah.
because I don't care what they're doing. Who cares? I've never been a person who buys modules anyway. I always make my own universe. But to be fair, the cosmology that has been created over the past 60 years, we have a cosmology, and they're in there
Yeah.
messing with it. It's not just the orcs; it's deeper. Like for instance. If I say who's in charge of the fairy court, if I ask you, a simple non-rotten D&D guy, who's in charge of the
Uh
fairy court,
a king. Fairy
and his
king.
name
I'm guessing.
is
I have no idea.
Oberon,
Oh, okay. I do know the
right?
name
You
Oberon.
know,
I
of
didn't know
course, you
that he was the
know.
fairy king. Yeah.
And who's his queen?
No idea.
Titania, right?
Okay.
But and of course, it's always been that way because this is from the frickin' 19th century, dude. What does this have to
Yeah.
do with D&D? But of course, what they've done now is Titania is the queen of the summer court, and Oberon is just some wild man that runs on the woods that fucks her occasionally.
Yeah.
These kinds of things is what pisses people off, and there are thousands of examples because they're desperate little twats. So
Yeah.
but I don't really care because I have lots of D&D, many editions. I can do whatever I want with it. I don't care. What I am happy to see, which is why I said I didn't care, is something new coming along and it being successful. Claps, dude.
Good job.
Right? Good
Good
for them,
job.
man. That's awesome. And people are kind of just, you're noisy. Therefore, what else is going on? And this is popped. And I think it's popped because of the old timers like me, who love the face rip system, and they've taken the face rip system and they've kind of complicated it a little bit, which probably, to be fair, is a good thing. So, but we'll see. I'm going to read it. So, anyway, moving on to Thundero's favorite thing.
My favorite thing in the whole wide land. Try English this time. Cobra Kai season 4 becomes most watched show on Netflix, unseating The Witcher season 2. See now, Mr. Trent, buddy, buddy. How come sometimes you know about colons and commas, and then other times you're a damn mess? I need to talk to Mr. Trent and
Yeah,
ask him in person.
he missed a
What's
comma.
going on, bud?
He did miss a comma. Yeah. I don't know. We might be able to get him on here. We get some of the other guys in here that come and talk to us. Um, we had the full one there. Well, anyway, I can't remember the name of it offhand, but besides, the fact is this. Okay, Cobra Kai, very popular. People are loving it. My wife has watched the entire thing. She loves it. I've seen a few episodes and pieces of episodes here and there while she was watching. It's fine. I don't have any complaints about it. It's a bit soap opera-y for me, but I'm not into that.
Yeah,
But people are. But it's super popular. Awesome. Great. Done. Right. The thing it's interesting that I really want to talk about is The Witcher, because
okay.
season one, after much prodding from Mr. Thundero, I
Yeah,
watched it.
yeah,
Okay, and in the end, I thought it should have been called Yennefer, not The
yeah,
Witcher.
yeah.
I thought what they did with Yennefer was just fine. I have no problem whatsoever, but it didn't have anywhere near enough Henry Cavill. I'm like, what are you doing? Season two comes out. A lot of people say, "Oh, we're going to get a lot more Henry." No, you didn't. You got less of him. Season two is actually worse than season one. There's
Yeah.
nowhere near enough Witcher in the fucking Witcher. Henry
I agree.
Cavill is not being used properly by these idiots.
And
I
the worst part about it is he's aware of it, and according to what I've heard, is he was basically complaining without complaining because he doesn't really complain. But he was just suggesting that he gets to have more lines effectively because he felt like in the first season, especially, and I assume the second season as well, he had basically no inner monologue as Geralt.
no
It was just
no
he just showed up and stuff happened and he did things. There was no explanation from his point of view of why he was doing X, Y, and Z. When in the books there is quite a bit of that, right?
yeah.
He has a he's a person. He thinks.
He
Um,
is the MacGuffin. He
yes.
is the thing that lets the story happen. He is not the story. Season 1 was the Yennefer story. Season 2 is the Cersei story, and I have no problem with that. But if you're gonna pay for frickin' Henry Cavill, which I imagine he's not cheap, use
No.
him. Because
Yes.
season 2 is worse than season 1, dude. It's worse. There's less Henry.
There is less Henry. I think it's a better season personally, but that's largely because the Henry that we get is even better
Yeah,
than
yeah,
he was
yeah.
in
But
season one.
that's not the point I'm
And
making. I'm not
because
complaining about the Cersei story and the Yennefer story. That's not what I'm
Siri,
talking. I'm
but
talking
yes,
about where's the frickin' Witcher in The Witcher.
I wholly agree with you. I even said that what they need to do next season, since they're pacing this story out so slowly, because they haven't even gotten through. I mean, the first season was all the short stories. Okay, fine, or a lot of them. To get us to the actual story, right? That's basically just the big prologue, the short prologue. The short stories are the actual story. We've actually started now, where he starts being a dad, and by the end of it, he really is. He accepts that role, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, but we're still nowhere near through the first book. Like the first
No.
actual book in the actual story. Like they're taking their time. Okay, if you're gonna take your time, then give us something the books don't give us a lot of. Let's just show him doing his job. Just please, just give us like that first episode, the season opener, where it's mostly about, or at least his part, especially in Siri, is about them at that castle with the dude who's a warthog or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, that's awesome. I
yeah.
loved that. I love
Henry's
that first
great.
episode. Henry's great. The twist of it's all great. The whole story's great. I want more of that. I want more. I want the show to not be afraid to give us a couple episodes that are only about themselves. Now you can
But
carry the narratives forward doing that, but you can have self-contained stories like you did in that first episode that are really, really, really good because this world's pretty cool, and they just don't really give us that. After
no.
that first episode, it fell off big time. We focused even less on Geralt, but that first episode was what I want from this show. I
Yeah.
want it to feel almost like a Monster of the Week type show with an overarching narrative behind it.
Yeah, and
That's
they've
what it should be.
but they've also sidelined him in the other way, that the fact that Yennefer or Cersei, they are the power of the thing. So he's nothing. He's
Yep.
not an effective thing. They are. It's all about them. And personally, and a lot of people are bitching about this. This isn't just me, because what I would have done, season 1 and 2 with The Witcher, all Henry all the time, and it would have
Mm.
been a mega hit. And then what you do is have a little bit of a spin-off season like they're doing with Boba Fett, which isn't doing very well, but nevertheless. And Yennefer, a Witcher Chronicle, Cersei, a Witcher Chronicle. Do like that. Because those things stand alone. Yennefer, it was fine. There's nothing wrong. It was a good story. I mean, sure, there's race swapping and wokeness and yay, I'm woman, hear me roar crap. But in general, it was pretty good. And
Yep.
but that's what you should have done. But that's not what they're doing, dude. And I'm telling you,
And
a lot of people hang on to season 1. They came in season 2. I'm telling you, a lot of people ain't showing up season 3, dude.
well, we'll see. You might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. We'll totally see. It totally depends on the vibes we get coming out in the filming. I'm assuming they're either filming it now or they already have it filmed, or they're in pre-production at the very least for season 3. So we'll see what happens because I think you're right. I think a lot of people. The number one complaint I have with season 2, the main complaint is I want to see more witchery. Can I see some witchery, please? Can
Yes,
I just
please.
give me like an
Yeah.
episode, even just one episode of him being a fucking witcher for
Yes,
crying out loud?
please. But to be fair, when he's on the screen, it's great.
Yes.
I mean, he is
I
awesome.
think I think Siri's great too. I think she really surprised me at how well she did. What's her name? Freya something did this season. I think she's doing a fantastic job. I liked her little arc that they gave her, where she keeps trying and she eventually, and she's not she even though she is technically very Mary Sue-ish. She's a chosen one type
It could
character.
have
She has
been worse. Yeah, yeah,
all this power and stuff. At least they in the books do this too.
yeah.
They make her earn it, right? The one thing she's not is a
That's true.
witcher, and she tries her damnedest to become one. At least in like skill and stuff and all that stuff,
And
and
they did
she
that.
eventually does,
And they
and that's
did that
very
in the
good.
video game too. So fair
Yes.
enough. I'm not complaining about any of that stuff. Although to be fair, the actress doing Yennefer I think is way better than the one doing Cersei. But
I just
whatever.
don't like her. I'll be honest. Everybody else loves I can't stand that girl. I can't stand her face. I think she's ugly. I can't stand her personality off camera or on camera. I don't like Yennefer at all. I'm glad she's kind of the villain. Spoilers of this season, uh, because I don't like her. I
Yeah,
just
well,
don't. I
I
don't
hate her.
like the.
I hate her as well. But that's the point. You're supposed to hate her.
Yeah, no, it's not that kind of hate. It's not like a heel in pro wrestling. Like I
Oh, I
want them
see.
to recast it. I don't like her at all. She's not
Yeah.
one. She's not pretty enough at all. I don't think she's attractive. A lot of people think she's beautiful. I think she's ugly. I honestly think she's ugly.
No, but you're not
And
allowed to have pretty women anymore, dude.
and two, well, yeah, and two, she's an okay actress, but you're gonna give Yen this much screen time that she doesn't get in the books, make her a far more important character than she's supposed to be. Okay, that actress better fucking bring it if you're gonna do that, because Henry's bringing it. He's brought it both
Well, he's the only
seasons.
one
He
that's bringing it, dude.
he kills it. He's by far I mean, he's night and day ahead of everybody in that show. It's not even close. So if you're gonna do that, you need to have somebody who can bring it, and I just don't think she's the one.
Yeah, fair
Sorry.
enough. I can see that, and I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, I hate her too, but I mean, I kind of felt that's what I was supposed to hate her. But whatever. I don't like The Witcher. I don't because it's not giving me what I want, and I want Henry Cavill. I want Henry.
Well, here's the problem they're going to run into in the books. Eventually, Yen's gone. Like she's not in a couple, or barely in a couple of the books, and so is Ciri. What are we doing here? I mean, we've made some changes to the story. Yeah, okay. Like what they did with Eskel doesn't make any fucking sense because he's literally the best Witcher, but they killed him off in the first episode, turned him into a tree for some reason. Um, I don't, and it didn't make any sense because it wasn't even like a woke thing. It was just dumb. Like I'm still trying to understand why they decided they completely changed his character completely. In the books, he is basically like Geralt's big brother,
Yeah.
and he's super friendly and super cool with Ciri. He takes great care of him. He looks out for him, and he's a really powerful Witcher. And here he was just a drunken pervert, and it's like, what? Why?
Yeah. No,
Why do that?
it's true. Yeah.
Uh,
But it's
but
just wrong-headed. The whole thing's wrong-headed. It's
yes,
not
I
going to
think
get
that's
better.
what it is. It's a lack of clear direction. I think that first season showed a lack of clear direction because they were playing with the timelines and all that stuff. And then the second season, that clear direction got a little clearer, meaning we do have a full narrative, one full narrative, but we're still focusing on side stuff that doesn't matter. Like all this stuff focusing about the elves, all this stuff with Fringilla and Yen. That's not the story of this book, of
No,
this
it's not.
series. It's
No.
and it's annoying because when we focus on the story, it's good. Geralt and Ciri are the story. Geralt being a father, whether he wanted to or not, is the story.
Sure.
It's about a man who is exceptional because of his mutation, but it's ultimately a father and daughter story. That's what it is.
But
And
it is
we
called
don't get
The
that.
Witcher, and The Witcher is Geralt. I mean that he's
Yes.
the Witcher, right?
He's
But
the witcheriest Witcher of all time,
yes,
literally,
yes.
in the lore.
But whatever. Well, one thing I will say, and it's even makes you more irate actually. Superman. When Henry did Superman, I think he's a great Superman, but his
Yeah.
Superman is not great because of Zack Snyder and the fact that you let a stupid German write your damn Superman movie.
Yes.
Um, so no, thank you, right? But his Witcher is perfect,
Yeah. Perfect.
and they don't
And the
use that.
writing form is really good too. Like it's a totally different crew and everything when it comes to Henry, and then when they get to everybody else, it's just kind of like, yeah, it'll be fine.
Well, it's
It's
like
so weird.
well, no, it's like watching The Man of Steel, where Henry plays the perfect Superman, which he doesn't, but he plays the perfect Superman. But 90% of the screen time is Lois doing
Yes,
some Lois shit.
it's on Lois, or it's randomly on not Zod or one of the other two, just
Jimmy,
some other Kryptonian,
Jimmy's
just
doing something.
somebody else.
Get him, Jimmy. But anyway, I'll move on. But
Uh,
congratulations, Cobra Kai, for sure.
let's not move on from Cobra Kai just yet. Cobra
Okay.
Kai season 4 is wonderful. If
I
you're a
haven't seen
fan of this show, if you like it, it's very good. I have very few complaints. Obviously, it's not perfect. Nothing ever is. But I really like it. They make fun of the woke stuff. They bring it in, quote unquote, and then do a twist with it. See, because for me, especially with it being on Netflix, my expectation is for it to go woke as hard as it can, as quick as it can. and it doesn't. And when it's like they know that that's going to happen, right? Or they know that people have that expectation because when they start bringing a little bit of it in and then they do a subversion with it, it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
It's great because you don't expect it because we've been so conditioned now to just expect wokeness, especially from Netflix, and they just so far they haven't given into it. They'll pay their lip service, they'll do their little thing, and then they just move right on like it never even happened. And in case in point, in season 4, they bring in a ultra feminist black girl, and she becomes a bad guy instantly, and it's great. I'm like, thank you,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you, because we never ever have to hear from her again after that happens. She's just
Well, that's
there
good.
now. Yeah,
But one thing I will say about Cobra Kai, it is nice to see older actors getting the front,
yeah,
right? Because a lot like CW we just talked about, for the most part, that's a lot of young teenager, teeny bopper story. Yeah, I love him crap, right?
yeah.
However, another thing that I hear nobody talking about that is actually freaking spectacular is, Kevin Costner's Yellowstone. Have you seen that?
I have not, but I heard that the third or whatever the newest season goes way off the rails.
Oh, well, that's too bad. I've only seen like season one, but that's pretty good shit, dude. Now that's Dynasty Dallas put on a
Yeah.
ranch, is what that is. But it's not bad. My wife fell asleep, but that's pretty normal. Too much exercise, I guess.
No, I'm just
Um,
glad Cobra Kai season 4 was good. I still think the second season is the best season. I'm glad that 4 they didn't cave into it. There's still very much, like you said, a story about older guys. I mean, the kids get some shine too, of course, but it's very much Johnny and Danny's story, how they deal with each other, how
yeah,
they deal with stuff. And I appreciate that for the same reason you do. I think I'm just I don't know if it's age or what. I'm sick of teenage or really young adult everything. All the heroes being that or whatever. Okay, I want to watch stories where there's older people still doing things because older people do still do things. They run the damn world.
yeah.
So it's
I
strange
don't,
to me.
I don't think it's age, because back when I was a kid, there a lot of stuff I loved and a lot of the very popular things. Someone was considered a kid up until 30 in
Yeah.
those old shows and old movies. I don't think it's age at all, because and this is one of the things you also get when you look at international films, like I was suggesting. Um, you get a lot more older actors running the show because they should be. They're the ones running the world anyway. And how many of these
Yes.
damn movies and things we get nowadays where the youngins are doing everything and saving everything? Youngins can't do shit, dude. What are you talking about? It's all most of the people are going to be involved. Are going to be at a minimum in their 30s, if not their 40s. And I appreciate that. And another thing I appreciate about Cobra Kai is they merged it in perfect. They really did. Because you had the movies, and then here they are, older actors, and they are older actors. They are older men in
Yep.
their older life. And it's a perfect transition. They're trying to force it and try to bullshit us and say, oh, they're in their 30s or some other kind of nonsense. These are older men living their older lives, and that's
Yes.
good. That's good.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I approve of it, and I hear season 5 is already basically filmed because they filmed them together at the
Oh,
same time with
okay.
the COVID stuff. So it might end up coming out sooner. I doubt it though. Netflix will probably keep it in December. Um, but I hope it does because season 4 was solid, very solid.
Sweet. All right, well, let's move on here. My last story of the day is actually not a story.
The most hilarious woke pop culture fails of 2021. And with that, I'll be right back real quick.
All right, so I just thought it would be fun to end the show today by just looking at some of the nonsense that went on, right? Let's see here. 2021 was a year of sheer madness and rampant insanity, much of it humorous, albeit frustrating. As the year has come and gone, we have 2022 to look forward to. Great. And with it, a chance to start steering the ship back to a semblance of sanity and common sense. Fair enough. Here we have. and Ant-Man and the Wasp Coca-Cola commercial. I don't even see that. I don't live in the States though, I suppose. So let's look at some of these failures. Now, Will Wheaton has been a failure for, oh geez, a long time. I I personally, and you as well, have been witness to his failure for at least a decade now. This guy is the poster child for simp soy boy. I don't know that there's anyone who embodies it more than him. He is such a simpering little soy boy. I mean, it's almost cliche how much he is. And of course, he hates white people, but he does a lot of things. We could do a whole show on Will Wheaton kicking himself in the ass, because he just is an idiot. He's absolutely outrageous. Let's talk about something I don't really know offhand, but whatever. Will Wheaton himself is always valuable for a nice little bit of a laugh because he is a joke. Uh, Gina Carano, of course, gets the chop, then makes a stunning return. Yeah, this was dumb. We all saw this happen live. We know how dumb it was. Of course, Thundero loves Gina Carano. It's his favorite, most sexy lady ever. Oh well, it was really, 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 really stupid political maneuver to do that, and they killed it. And if you look at Boba Fett, because it is started, it's not doing well. And is it not doing well because it's not good, or because people are like, nope, and they just noped out of it? I don't know.
I've heard it's boring. That's what I heard.
There you go.
A couple people who checked out the first episode or whatever, they just said it was boring. They said they didn't really get into it. Not a lot happens. They don't like that they made Boba Fett. From what I understand, they made him very like almost soft. Uh, yeah. So I've heard varying different takes on it, but from what I gather, most of it, it's just kind of boring. It's not what they were expecting, right? You were expecting
That's too bad.
it's supposed to be about Boba Fett taking over a criminal enterprise, right? A criminal
Should
underworld.
be bloody.
You're yeah, you're expecting something a little bit aggressive and violent and dark, and it's just no,
Well, he was
not
dark
that
in
at
the
all.
Mandalorian. He was killing people left and right, dude. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, the Gina Carano thing was just pure stupidity, and it bit him in the ass. That's for damn sure. Batwoman bombs. Of course it does.
Yeah,
Is anyone surprised that this trite was going to be anything other than a massive failure?
no.
I mean, yeah, sure, Batwoman in the comics is gay, and hardly ever mentioned other than her just kind of being gay. It's not really the main part of the character. She's Batwoman,
Look at those
not
eyes,
gay
man.
lady.
Those are not eyes of a good person.
This
She's a
lady,
horrible person. Yeah, you can
sh-
just look at her.
she's
If you
not
have any kind of
talented enough.
instincts, empathy at all, you can look in those eyes and see nothing but horror.
What I
Like
see is smug.
that's a dangerous, evil person. That's what she is. She would destroy you and not even weep about it, not shed one tear.
Yeah, well, especially if you're a male. But yeah, I said best thing I ever saw her in was in John Wick 2, and she doesn't speak at all. It was perfect,
Yes.
and John Wick put her down immediately. It was perfect. But yeah, of course this happens. Not surprising. Uh, who is this? Sandy Cortez. Uh,
It's Sandy.
she lies about January 6th. Well, they're all on that bandwagon right now, aren't they?
Oh, of course they
I
are.
have
Yeah.
been carrying this piece of glass as a reminder in my pocket for a year. I am psychologically destroyed because people who are walked into a public place.
That
Um,
they own.
that they own, yeah. This whole January 6th thing is that, but I mean, let's be fair. We didn't need to say anything about fibbing about January 6th because she did. She lied, straight up lied. But all you had to do was just put Sandy Cortez. I mean, she's a
Yeah.
joke, dude. She's an absolute joke. And you hear now she's saying, "Oh, you people are complaining because you can't date me, baby." I'm telling you something. Men know instinctively, and it's built into our DNA. Don't put your dick in crazy. All right.
Yes.
Ain't nobody want to date you, baby doll. Now, I will admit she's not an ugly lady. 'Cause she's not. She's bug-eyed, but I mean, she's not ugly. But no, 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 no. Nobody wants to date you, baby doll. Nobody. Okay.
No thanks.
No,
No thanks.
thank you. Uh,
Look at this guy. Look at this
aw,
dude.
aw, put it,
I mean,
Joshy.
Joss has got pedophile features. Like it's unbelievable. He pulled them glasses down, especially. Holy crap! Like, keep your kids away. Just terrifying. Looks just like a pedo. Fucking
Such an idiot.
cats! One of my cats just knocked over a TV.
Good job, cat. Cats will do that. But Joss Whedon goes down in flames. Yeah, well, they eat their own, don't they? This guy's said and done so many stupid things. It's absolutely ridiculous. To be fair, there's a couple of things he did I liked. I didn't hate the Avenger movie he made at all. I do believe he made Firefly, didn't he? I love that show. Um, I don't. I didn't watch Buffy. I didn't care for Buffy because the movie was great. It was funny, tongue in cheek. It was supposed to be, it was supposed to be a tongue in cheek spoof thingy, right? And it was great. It was fun. The TV show he took it serious, and it was like, dude, you're missing the point. You're completely missing the point. I didn't care about it. However, I know that generation, like around Thundero's age, it's like their thing. Buffy was their world. I get that. So you can't say he's a complete and utter hack because he's not. But he's just a fool, like so many of them. So Joshua says that Boba Fett episode 2 was better. That's good. But like I said, I don't know that it's about it being good or bad. I just think there's a lot of stink on it because of the whole Gina Carano thing that this it's going to hurt him, dude. Anyway, Josh Whedon. So let's go down here. Coca-Cola reaps the whirlwind. Well, they all did. Maybe this is just a placeholder for all these stupid companies that put out these woke ass commercials, and it's like, what are you doing, dude? You don't want business? Are you an idiot? I don't know exactly what this one's about particularly, but so many of these companies did it. Gillette, yeah, they're talking about that here too. But yeah, the left triples down on racism. Oh yeah, this and of course, critical race theory in the schools, and it's just ton of nonsense, idiot stuff that they're going for. And of course, white people are the worstest ever thing. Okay, good, good. It's good to know. Let's see. Dr. Seuss book gets canceled. This was dumb, dude. I don't know if Thunder must be dealing with TV. Yeah,
No, I got it.
good here.
Thankfully, I had a basket of clothes that's folded that needs put away yet, and it landed on that,
Oh,
so it
good.
didn't break or anything.
That's handy.
But no, this stupid ass. One of our cats is a retard. Like, I think she's genuinely might be retarded,
Yeah.
and she jumps from the floor all the way. It's the TV in here. Jumps from the floor all the way because it's sitting on one of our dressers, all the way up. I don't know what she was trying to do because it's just a thin screen, like 50-inch TV that's just sitting on top of this dresser that I use for in here when I'm doing stuff. And the way she landed on it, on the front of it, she pulled it down and almost pulled it down on top of herself. And if it wasn't for the fact that those clothes were there, it would have crashed all to the floor. And just cats are really stupid animals. I encourage no one to own them. They're
Yeah,
just
dogs
dumb.
are better. That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm glad the TV's fine though. The Dr. Seuss canceling thing, I think, is a bit outrageous. Of course, we all do. But here's the thing: if I take an image and I put it in silhouette, right? You're going to recognize things automatically because you have a general concept of what it is, right? If I put Batman or the Batman symbol in silhouette, you know that it's Batman. If I do it with Big Bird or I do with Bugs Bunny or Ren and Stimpy or whatever, you're going to automatically recognize. Well, you don't need any color, you don't need any detail, just the black silhouette. You'll recognize it immediately. And we humans do this all the time. And as a marketer, as a person who's building and selling things, you want to get into that psychology, into that way the brain works in that way because it helps you be successful. Now, if I create and I want to distinguish someone as being Asian, what should I do, Thundero? How would I, if I'm going to silhouette and just the idea of Asian, how do I do it?
In a silhouette? That's a
Yeah.
good question. I don't know. How would you do it?
Well, you'd put someone that's in some kind of roby type material with a queue, the long hair that they were required to keep, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that
it,
sounds reasonable.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's the easiest way to, in that standard brain's way of recognizing the silhouette to denote Asian or Oriental, more specifically in this case. If I want to denote someone of African tribal nature, what do I do in silhouette?
give him a spear. Oh,
Yeah, give them a spear. That's part of
you could
it,
give
but
him a
it could be Greek
spear.
or Roman, right?
You could give them what I don't know what that their headdresses they wear are called, but one of those African style headdress.
You could, yeah, yeah,
Uh, Not a lot of clothing, maybe just like something simple. If you're
sure,
trying to go tribal with them,
yeah.
something like that.
Well, you also could give them a heavy brow ridge. You could give them large noses, large
Yeah,
lips. This is automatically going to tell anyone in the world, oh, that's an African, that's a Negroid person, right?
yeah,
Now, this is not racism. This is how the human mind organizes itself and how we recognize things. Dr. Seuss and many other people, of course, did this. And what did they get so upset with this right here? Tintin guy did stuff like that. And then, he's canceled now. He had a story about an Oriental guy. It's a good story. The Oriental master, he is teaching and it's a good thing. It's nothing negative about the old Oriental man at all. But the fact that he is traditionally Oriental in his dress and look is the problem. It doesn't make any sense at all. What you're if you're by canceling that, you're canceling Orientals, not Dr. Seuss, right? So
yeah.
this was just inanity on top of inanity.
Well,
Uh,
that's what pisses me off about when you see them, and well, pisses off is the wrong word. Upsets me a little bit, perturbs me. When you see these white liberals, because that's almost always who it is, complaining about depictions of Indians, of Indian Americans, American Indians,
you know,
um, because yeah, okay, some of them are caricature, but first of all, everybody gets caricatured, so let's
yeah,
stop being dumb. And
yeah,
second of all, most of them aren't. Most of them are just genuine depictions or genuine, honest attempts at depicting them as honestly and accurately as possible, and they're still getting upset about it because at the end of the day, what they really want is to erase that. They don't want to
yeah.
say
That's
that.
the point they're
They
making.
might not even have that thought in their brain,
They're
right? They might
racist.
not even have
Yeah.
crystallized it, but they hate these people and they want them gone
Yeah.
from their view. So, like a great example is the Land O'Lakes butter. They had an Indian on their
And a
butter, right? They
cutie
had this
too. She
Indian
is a
lady, little
cutie.
cutie. Oh, they erased her. She's gone. Can't have that.
Yeah.
Be having that. So now all we got is just a river or a lake.
Yeah. Dumb.
It's
There's no
so
reason.
dumb. Then out of one mouth they're saying we have to get rid of these, and then out of the other mouth they're saying we need representation. Well,
That's true.
who in God's name was offended by the native lady standing on the Land of Lakes? The
Nothing.
Land of Lakes thing. Nobody. It was a great
It's
depiction. She looked beautiful. What's the issue?
there is
But
none.
no,
Yeah.
nope.
But it also comes to the silhouette again. How you go to a silhouette an Indian, a Native American? Well, you
Yeah.
got to give him a sharp nose and a feather. And
Yes.
oh, clear instantly, everyone in the world knows, right? If you want to
Yes.
do an Indian, then have their hands in the namaste, right?
Yes.
I mean, we have things we recognize, right? And that's all he did, and that's what they're upset about. Of course, they're stupid. But then look at the caricature of the man himself.
Yeah.
What does this tell
Yeah.
you? This is Laurel and Hardy type character, right? He's a
Well, look at the
buffoon,
lion.
and look at the
Like
lion. Yeah.
Like you wouldn't need that thing saying lion to know that's a lion, but lions don't look like that. That's not what lions look like.
Yeah, but
Ah,
here you have the boy who's quizzical and he's seems confused and lost, and I'm sure for the story it's appropriate. But whatever. Uh, Bill Maher wakes up from his wokeness, dude. Don't you be fooled for a second. Bill Maher's suck of the he can't he has a logical mind to a point and he can't take a certain line, but that dude is woke forever. Don't you think anywhere?
well, no. Here's what Bill Maher is he's an opportunist.
Oh, well, that's fair.
He can
John Stewart's the
sense
same way. Yeah.
the winds is a changing, and he wants to ride that wave to more money.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And I don't hate him for it. I'm like, hey, make they do it, Bill. That's fine. I don't care. I don't care what it takes. If we have to put up with grifters to get rid of this woke nonsense, fine. I'll put up with grifters. I would rather deal with a sleazeball I can see coming than these trash trying to destroy everything that's good in the world.
Yeah, no, fair. Elrod, you're right about Tintin's creator there, of course. Ash says, how long will it take for liberals to realize that they made it so that only white people can be pictured on food products? It'll hit them eventually, dude, because that's what they're doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll hit them. And then they won't be allowed to have any humans on anything.
Yeah, no
Uh,
faces at all. No faces. Can't have faces on products.
Marvel and DC propagandizing their superheroes. Now, I put this in the tagline for the show, but keep in mind, and this is a real statistic, by the way, this is not made up. 50% of DC comic heroes right now in their comic books are gay. 50%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, I
It's
mean, now
preposterous.
that what? What gays make up what? 3% of the population at best?
I think they're up to 10 now, but
I
that's a lot
don't
of
I don't think
that's
that's
a lot,
true.
not real ones anyway. That's a lot of culturally gay, meaning they're only
If
doing it because it's culturally, popular.
Well,
It's a
sure, but
fad.
if you go to the
You know.
city of San Francisco, maybe 10%. But worldwide is not, dude, for sure.
Well, not worldwide, definitely. Worldwide is probably less than 3%, to be honest.
It probably
So
is.
only America and in other Western countries that have completely lost their damn mind.
Well, the thing is, I don't actually mind gay people being able to live their life free and safe. I don't have a
I don't
problem
either.
with that. I'm
I don't
cool
either.
with it. But this is a whole
I
nother thing. It's
do
propaganda.
mind when they compel people. Well, I should let's be fair. I don't think too many gay people were actually compelling this. I
No.
do mind when white liberals decide that they need to help them and they do shit like this.
Well,
That I mind.
Well, that's the thing. Gays are another victim group that they have to take care of because they're pathetic
Yeah,
and useless, and the liberals
yeah,
have to
that's
take
right.
care of them. It's just
That's
more
right.
of their bigotry, right? But yeah, no, this is absolutely true. They ain't stopping. They are not stopping, dude. Sana Amina, it's all about her thing. She's really, 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 really desperately wants Miss Marvel to work and the new Disney Plus thing in there.
They're
Uh,
not stopping, but they're losing,
there
and
they
they're
are,
losing
but
hard.
here's the thing. With Kamala Khan, we know the character here because we cover comic books, and the first few books actually weren't bad. But her powers are kind of silly.
Yeah.
Sure. But as comic book people, we're used to that. It's fantasy, right? So we have no trouble, with some girl who makes her feet and hands big. I mean, it's not a big deal for us. But the mainstream audience ain't going to be able to buy that. So the new Miss Marvel thing, she doesn't her powers. They changed her powers for the normies, dude. They
Of
did.
course.
They gave her like these, you know that girl. I think her name is Armor,
Hmm.
Marvel character, and she can create telekinetic armor around herself and therefore be a superhero. They gave her
Hmm.
telekinetic big hands, like
So
crystal
their energy.
hands. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. I mean,
That's actually cooler. I'll be
sell
honest.
out. Yeah,
It's
it
a
is
lot
cooler.
cooler.
It is cooler, but it's a sellout move, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. The Grammy and the
And it's
Oscars collapse out. Okay, that's been going on for
oh
years too.
god, yeah, that whole to that nobody cares. I don't think anybody ever really cared. I think it was just people like glitz and glamour, and this stuff provided it for them. And now it's to the point where I think a lot of people, unfortunately, their lives have been really, really shitty the last couple years,
Yep,
and they don't really care for glitz and glamour because now it feels like bragging.
it
You know what I mean? It
does.
feels
Yeah.
like sneering and not celebratory.
And of course, they keep pointing their finger so much at us and saying you're bad because. But
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I watched the Oscars and the Grammys all the time, every year, and it was a big event. The whole
Yep.
family would sit around and watch it, and it was entertaining. But it's not anymore, especially back with Billy Crystal. I mean, God, that guy would knock out that guy is the best host I've ever seen. But anyway, they're crap now, and we know that. We know that. Ellen says the next MCU character push is going to be American Chavez. The thing that's sad about American Chavez, if you went back to she's a D-list character, or not even. However, if you went back to the original American Chavez and gave us that character in the movie or a TV show or something like that, I would be fine. But that's not. You realize what they've done with her. She's now an alien who is
Yeah.
a production of lesbian sex, which I don't know how it happened, but somehow two lesbians made a baby in their lesbian interdimensional extraterrestrial world life, and she is thrown on Earth even though she looks completely perfectly normally human. It's the dumbest shit, dude. I had to read a bunch of that American Chavez stuff when I was doing the new comic reviews, and it's dumb. It's just brain-numbingly dumb. And the sad
Yeah.
thing is, if you went back to the original American Chavez, it's not a bad character at all.
Here's my problem I have with a lot of these relatively newer or some of this new. I don't like it when superheroes just have a name. I just I don't like that. Like Doctor Strange, I guess technically is that, but he also has a Sorcerer Supreme. But Doctor Strange is such a strange name that it's fine. America Chavez literally just sounds like some chick I could meet at 7-Eleven,
Yeah,
right? America Chavez.
yeah,
I don't like that. I like my superheroes to be much more mythical in a way. Like I like that's why I like superheroes. You know, I like Spider Man and ones with code names and stuff. That's just me. But I think a lot of these when they try to do that, like there's that Naomi one too, the DC one, Naomi.
oh,
Is it
they're
all she
pushing
goes
that
by?
hard. Yeah, they're
It's
pushing that
stupid.
hard.
It doesn't sell. It's not going to sell because it's just a name. It's a name you could hear anywhere. It's nothing special about it. It doesn't catch your attention like Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't have that ability to really be a strong brand because it just sounds like a
universality.
name.
No, that's true.
Yeah, it just sounds like a name. Like if you think America Chavez is going to do well in non-English speaking markets? No. Of course she's not
No,
because
it
America
won't.
Chavez just sounds like some chick. Doesn't sound like a superhero.
Yeah. Well, and we have other things like, for instance, Echo. She's getting her own spin-off on Disney Plus, which doesn't make any sense. But she was in Hawkeye. Now you got to keep in mind she's like this rebel, punk leader, and she's missing a leg, but yet she can take down Hawkeye like nothing, easy.
Yeah.
He ain't nothing, right? And this one-legged lady, right? Has no superpowers or anything like that that I know of. Maybe she does have something, but no, she has no fighting superpower anyway. But she's getting a spinoff too, which no one's gonna watch it. No one gives a shit. No one liked Hawkeye anyway. But yeah, Chloe Zhao, I see the chat. This lady gave you Eternals. Enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's a diversity hire. I
She
mean,
was
that's all
very
it is.
upset though because she wanted to destroy the Earth at the end of the Eternals, and they wouldn't let her, and she's peeved.
She'll be okay.
Maybe they should have done that.
Yeah,
Uh,
Blizzard going down in flames. That is was a long time coming. Hopefully they can correct. I don't think it's going to happen though. I think
yeah,
Blizzard's done.
I think it's a bit bullshit though, because a lot of the accusations are not true. It
Of
is
course.
bullshit, but
Now,
whatever.
this is the worst example of what they're talking about here because that's actually an improvement. Yeah, you get less titty, but there's no way you can't say that that one on the one at least isn't rendered better, right? It's higher
I
resolution.
think it's
Now they
better.
could
Yeah,
have easily said more titty. We could have had more titty. I'd like more titty, please. Make your titties the same, but the resolution on all of it is much better. I think
right.
it looks crisper. So I
Well,
don't think that that one is a great example of what they're pointing out here because they went through and changed a whole bunch of the sexualized artwork
right.
into less, non-sexual things. Like one of them, it was something like basically like that with some titties out, and they changed it into like a bowl of fruit, like just
Oh wow,
completely different.
ridiculous. But
That was way more egregious to me than this one. In all honesty,
yeah. Well, this right here, I mean, it depends on the character. Because the one on the left, she looks like she's some kind of villainess that uses seduction to her advantage. The other one
yeah,
here looks like some noble lady.
yeah,
I mean, so it depends on the character. If she's supposed to be this villainous, evil seductress, well, then you screwed up. But I
yeah.
don't know, but it looks better. But yeah, no, this whole debacle is just it's a placeholder for all the other nonsense that's going on, really. Let's see here. Ellen DeGeneres canceled. This was interesting to me. I got a laugh out of this because how do you not look at Ellen DeGeneres or Oprah or any of these other, it's not just women, men too, Regis Philbin as an example, and
Yeah.
not understand, and you might be entertained by them, but not look at them and understand that these people are absolute prima donna, major bitches.
Yeah.
How do you not know? Ellen DeGeneres is clearly a hardcore bitch. Clearly. I mean, why
and
were people surprised? I don't get
and
it.
clearly a very broken individual.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
well, yeah.
yeah, Oprah too. Like, yeah, Oprah's got all kinds of money, but you couldn't pay me. I don't think she could pay me enough money to spend an hour with her in an honest conversation. I would want to kill myself.
Well, don't
There's
mess with
She just
Oprah, dude. She might have you killed, man. That
she's
lady don't
just
ain't playing around.
completely broken on the inside. You can see it in her eyes. DeGeneres is the same way. These are just two broken women. And it would be sad if they weren't so repugnant, right, as people. Um, but they are, and they revel in it, and it's good. It's good that I think this is a good one. I'm not against cancel culture. I'm just against it being used unilaterally. If we're gonna cancel some folk, I got a whole list I'd like to see canceled, please.
Yeah,
And
but
Miss
see,
DeGeneres was at the top of
the
it. Was
the
near the top of it.
the thing with me though is I get your point, but I don't really care. I mean, clearly, she obviously first time I saw her, I knew she was a very, very difficult person to deal with. But yet she has a show, people like it. I don't watch it, but if that's your thing, go for it. I don't have a problem with her being successful. I'm just saying I'm surprised at the backlash because it's obvious to me that she's not a person you want to deal with personally, dude.
Yeah,
But
terrible
whatever.
human being.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh God, LeBron James, man, this guy keeps. This is another dude that needs to be taught the word "shut up."
Yeah,
I mean, God, LeBron cannot shut his damn mouth, dude. He just came out the other day with a stupid comment, and he's dumb. He's not a smart human. He's a basketball player. His cleverness needs to come in the strategy of basketball, and he's really good at that. But he needs to shut up, dude. This guy.
I agree. And he's from my state, and I agree.
Yeah, no.
He just needs to be quiet.
Oh no, she's certainly not broke Elrod. She's worth millions and millions and millions. And I don't even. I guess she is canceled. I didn't know she was canceled. I knew they were upset at
Yeah,
her,
the
but
show. I think the show's off the air now, or it's about to be. What had happened is she, was found out for just being a complete liar and a complete piece of trash to the people who work for her.
sure. Yeah.
And I think it was her decision to just pull the plug on the show because of all that was a big part of it. And I don't think the ratings were as good as they used to be either. So
Ooh, that's mean, Elrod. Hashtag Ellen likes boys. Damn, dude. And Ash, I agree. But yeah, no, LeBron needs to shut up, dude. You're not smart enough to have an opinion, dude. Just shut up, man.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's outrageous. YouTube gives itself a free speech award. Yeah, this was outrageous. Did you see this?
Dude, I love it. I
Yeah.
love everything about it. I love the smugness of it. I love the arrogance. Like if YouTube was trying to be a heel in pro wrestling, they would be the best in the
Yeah,
world.
it would
I
be. Yeah.
love it. The only part about it that sucks is they're serious.
Yeah.
They're not doing it with any sense of irony. It's not a bit. They actually did this and they don't understand why people think it's
Yeah.
unbelievably ostentatious of them.
Well, it's like a Ted DiBiase move, right?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
perfect. Yeah. But whatever. Who's this girl on the left? She looks like she has one of those almost familiar faces. I don't know who
Yeah,
she
I
is.
have no idea.
But yeah, okay, dumb, really stupid, dumb. However, I did find myself in an awkward, nothing like this, but an awkward situation one time. Many, 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 oh my God, long, long, many years ago. I was running like a music camp in a town, and it was like a weekend, and the kids did a sleepover in the facilities, and we did all kind of music fun games and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. Kids enjoyed it, and I did it a few times. But that one year I brought my kids along too because they were little, and they why not have some fun. And I forget what the contest was, but I had a prize of a little djembe, a little hand bongo drum, right? And that was the prize. I was giving it away. It was like the last thing, and it was a contest, and there was this real reward. And I forget what I did with the contest, but in the end, I had to choose my son.
Yeah,
I had no choice in the matter, and I was like, "Damn!" I mean, because if I hadn't, it would have been obvious that I why I didn't. It was that kind of situation, so I Shogun I mean, just gave it to him. But I understand this a little bit, but this is a different level of of awkward arrogance, completely out of touch with the reality. But yeah, YouTube, you go YouTube. KFC uber racist faux pas. Well, I didn't even know this. What's this?
The Black Power fist, right
Yeah,
there.
I see that, but why? What's wrong? Why I don't get it?
I'm assuming. I have no idea. They would probably use this as a marketing thing. I'm guessing.
I see. The black people like chicken. Is that the idea?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that
It's
the
kind of
is
like
that the
how
faux pas?
almost all McDonald's advertising has black people front and center of it because they're marketing to black people.
I like KFC. I
I
like
do
fried
too.
chicken.
I personally prefer either Chick-fil-A or Buffalo Wild Wings,
Am I
but I'll
not
eat the
allowed to like fried chicken now because I'm
no.
white? Have I been
That's right.
canceled?
You can't. You're done. White people are canceled from chicken. Well, I hate to tell the world this, but if that happens, chicken's gonna be real hard to come by.
Baby, only black people can eat chicken now. No more fried chicken except for the blacks. She said it's very sad. Unfortunate. What, sweetie? Yellow people? I don't know. You're they're hating you too now.
No, they're white now. You didn't
Yeah,
you
you're
hear?
white now. You're Caucasian officially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
they said.
She
Yeah.
doesn't agree. But John Cena oh, this was dumb. Once again,
That
shut
was
up, John.
Johnny boy, buddy. John China.
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
John.
I know you don't like John Cena, but is he worse than Hulk Hogan though?
What do you mean by worse?
Well, the reason you don't like John Cena is because you think he's fake and he's using everything around him to sell and
Yeah,
become popular and make money,
of
and he's a
course.
control
Yeah,
freak. Okay,
yeah,
Hulk Hogan is exactly that as well. So
yeah.
which one is worse? I guess
John Cena.
you think he's worse than Hulk frickin' Hogan? Really?
I know it. I don't even think it. I know it. And here's how I know it. When Hulk Hogan was at the peak of his popularity in the mid '80s, right? When Hulkamania was running wild, Hulk Hogan was very much controlling and made sure that he did what he needed to do to protect his spot. Okay, I can't hate him for that, and that's not why I dislike John. However, he was also very charitable. He would, when newer guys would come in that had something, like the Big Boss Man, for instance, he'd work with them. And he'd work with them and get them main events in Madison Square Garden and everything because they're working with Hulk, making obscene amounts of money,
Yeah.
more money than any wrestler was going to be making at the time, especially if they weren't Hulk Hogan, because he liked to pass, spread the cheddar around, and also gave him new people to work with, right? Um, that too, Hulk Hogan has done. I guarantee you, he's done more charity work than John Cena, but you wouldn't know that because he doesn't make a big stink about it. He hasn't done more Make a Wishes. John's done the most of anybody ever. Cool for him, but he does it for publicity, so less cool. And but Hulk Hogan, even when he was a bad guy, in the late '90s when he was Hollywood Hogan, he would make a point to still go see sick and dying kids, but he made sure that nobody knew about it. He would make a point that he would still sign autographs for kids and stuff because they'd still come up to him and ask for them,
I
but he'd
get
make sure no cameras were around
I get you.
because he didn't want the publicity. The difference is the reason why I dislike John, aside from what he did to pro wrestling, Hulk Hogan elevated pro wrestling to a place that hadn't been since the 30s as far as like national popularity, national what sort of saturation. He did that twice in his career.
He did.
John nearly destroyed pro wrestling, killed it, quickly or not quickly, but slowly decimated it and drove its audience away. And then he had the temerity to literally in promos on television talk about how great he is because he does charity work for children.
Oh, I get you. Oh, I
Dead
understand.
to me
I
forever,
understand.
forever
Well,
for that.
it's an interesting juxtaposition to that. Is we had a story come out recently here about Keanu Reeves, and
Hmm.
we just found out that some reporters something found out that Keanu has done a way more charity than anyone realized, and no one
Yep,
knew because he didn't say anything about it.
he doesn't talk about it.
It isn't the point. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
And that's why like Kobe Bryant after he died, they had found out that he had been given millions and millions of dollars to basically where he grew up, the schools around there. He had just been secretly funneling money to them. Nobody knew. Nobody knew because he did it anonymously and he didn't let anybody know. The school knew about it. They figured out who it was, but he made sure that nobody else knew. Um, because obviously it only made sense it was him. But they found that out after he died that he had been helping out wherever. I think he was from LA or something. They've been helping out those areas with basically in secret. That kind of
Yeah,
stuff. I appreciate that. I approve of that. I don't
yeah.
approve of the way John does it. I'm glad he does it for the kids, right? Because they don't care if the cameras are there. They probably think it's cool. But I don't like when you when you use dead
Yeah,
and
no.
sick and dying children
Yep.
as a publicity. I
No,
don't.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
messed up.
No, because if I do anything like that, I don't want anybody to know either because it feels
Yeah,
inappropriate. Yeah, I
right.
understand
Because it's
that
not
fully.
about you. It's
Yeah,
not
it is
about
about
you.
me.
It's not about your
Yeah.
brand. It's not about making you feel better. It's about helping somebody who can't help themselves.
Oof, that's a rough one. You wanna handle that one?
Yeah, yeah, I saw this. Leftist educators teach first grade children how to masturbate properly. Let me rephrase this. Pedophiles groom children so that they're used to sexuality. So when they come to them with sexuality, they're less freaked out by it.
Mm.
Because that's all
Maybe
this is.
they're teaching Ichinense how to masturbate. She doesn't approve.
I would hope not.
Yes.
I think most normal people don't approve. We're seeing a big backlash here in America over this kind of stuff, where parents are just
You know,
outraged over
It's
it.
interesting because when I was in school, and since then, I've certainly read articles, medical articles, and things like that. Uh, for psychology classes and various things like that, looking at the potential sexual, encounters or not encounters, events in a child's life, right? And these kind of things can happen. But if I recall correctly from the studies that I had read when I was in school, uh, this really doesn't start hitting kids until 10 to 14, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of in that age group that you start seeing these kind of things become viable. Before that, it happens rarely, but it's not a normal thing. So I don't understand the concept of this. This is there's not it's not too long ago you would go to jail for this kind of shit, dude.
yes. Did you see it was the mayor of some town? Uh, he went to a school board meeting, and they do their little part where people can come up and talk to him, and or come up on the get up on a mic and talk to him, and he
Yeah.
sits down at the table and just straight tells them, "I'm the mayor of this city. If all of you don't resign tonight, I'm going to have you all arrested for distributing child pornography," and leaves.
Oh,
Just
good.
boom. And
Good.
that we need a lot more of that because there's just no justifying. I don't care. Well, here's their excuse. Well, kids are curious about sex. So what? Let them be curious.
Yeah. So what?
You don't need to get in there and tell them how their bits and bobs work. You freak.
And they're
That's
not
weird.
really curious anyway. They're not.
Right,
They're
exactly.
just
They're
not.
not curious about sexuality. They're curious about other things, but not sexuality.
Yeah,
It's
they're
a different
curious
thing.
about, I want to be a dinosaur. Yeah, that's what they're curious about.
It's
Um,
just it's
this is ridiculous shit. Yeah, it is really bad. I forgot about that one. That's a bad one, dude. I mean, oh god. Anyway, uh, this guy. Have you seen anyone burn himself down more than this guy? Is he not the dictionary or encyclopedia entry for burning your life down? I mean,
yeah.
Jesus
It's
Christ, Kevin.
I don't understand it. I don't understand what. Yeah, they must have paid him very well because he just destroyed his reputation. Now he's still going to have people who will simp for him and yada 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 yada. But all he had to do was be honest. If he would have been honest about what that show was, I don't think anybody would have been mad at him. I think everybody would be like, "Oh, okay, whatever, who cares?"
And
But because he lied about it and pretended it was something it was not, up until literally the day it came out,
yeah,
there's no coming back. There's no
and
reason for it.
and
It's
even into season 2, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a complete and total self own for no. It was an own goal, is what it was. Like
yeah,
there was
that's
no
what it
reason to
was.
do it. It was an
Well,
unforced error, Kev. You should have just been honest. Like, yeah, we're doing a Masters Universe show, but I wanted to kind of tell Tila's story. Okay.
here's the thing, though. You're saying he's a pure 100% shill. You could be right.
Yeah.
However, I don't know Kevin Smith's story 100%, but I feel like sometime here ago he had some kind of mental breakdown, and I'm
He
kind of
almost died.
wondering if he's not a true believer, dude.
He almost died. I think he had a heart attack or something because he was so fat, and
Yeah,
it nearly killed him, and he survived it. And that's why he's lost all that weight now. And
good
ever
for him.
since then, he's just been completely insufferable. Like he was always lefty a little bit, right? Like most of them are. and he always had like lefty messages in his stuff and anti-gay bashing messages in his stuff like that. Whatever, nobody really cared because his other stuff was. I really liked it. Like I like his Jay and Silent Bob stuff. I think it's hilarious. It's stupid, but it's not supposed to be smart. Um, but so his other stuff kind of made up for it in a way. But this recent version of him is just insufferable.
It's
He's
bad, dude.
preachy. He's bitchy. He's a liar.
Yeah,
Like there's no
very bad.
redeeming quality in it. Because like I said, there was no reason to lie. He could have just been honest,
Yep.
and I think it would have been fine. I still wouldn't have liked it because I still would have said it's woke garbage. But at least he wouldn't have got anywhere near the backlash he did get.
Yeah, but that would have been the end of the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah,
his lying was the worst part. But I never seen anyone implode like this, dude. It's bad. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, well, we know.
Marvel's MCU hit a brick wall. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
say so. When
it did.
No Way Home is more successful than your last four movies combined.
Yeah, easily.
That's not good. And No Way Home totally deserves it. It's fantastic. But
Yeah.
the rest of it does not. The rest of it deserved exactly what it got, which was the crowd went mild. Let's put it that way. Crowd went mild because that's all it was worth. The Black Widow movie, I don't even know why they released it. They should have just never because it wasn't even finished. Like some of the special effects in that were abysmal. They looked horrible. Looked like a B movie at best. Shang-Chi, I've heard varying reports. Some people said it was okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Other people said it was the most boring movie they've ever watched. I've
Well,
never
he's
watched it because I have
boring.
no interest. Yeah, exactly. He's so boring that it makes you want to rip your eyes out. Um, and then Eternals. I mean, I think the world would be better off if everybody just forgot that existed.
Yeah, that was
And
a
the
big
world pretty
failure.
much
Yeah,
has.
yeah.
But No Way Home, I don't know who was in charge of it. I don't know who was pulling the strings on that. I know that the screenwriters are the people who wrote Ant-Man and the Wasp and a couple other films. Um, they need to be in charge of everything MCU does or even talks about or touches. They need whoever was in charge of the marketing for this movie needs to be in charge of the marketing going forward. Everything about this movie was executed to as close to perfection as the MCU can do. It is the second or third best MCU movie by far. Like it's not even. I don't even think that's debatable. And it could even be the first. I'd have to watch it again, but I still say Infinity War for me personally
That was
is the
best.
best.
Yeah, that was best. Easily. Yeah.
Um, but this is so good, and whoever did it, whoever was in charge of it. Now I say this knowing that the last time this happened, we got Endgame because we all were like, yeah, Infinity War, let them guys make everything, and then Endgame
That
happened.
was a tragedy.
But
Yeah.
this movie is great. It's right there in the middle. It is one of the best superhero movies ever made. It's the second best Spider-Man movie ever made. It's really good. By the end of it, he's finally fucking Spider-Man. Like it took him 6 movies, but they finally landed the damn plane. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who's in charge of it, but we have a clear dichotomy. Oh, and it's not woke at all. The wokest part about it is Zendaya's in it. That's about
Well,
it.
they
Other than that,
younged
there's no
her
real
up big
wokeness.
time on this poster art, didn't they?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a really young. Yeah, yeah. She doesn't look that young
She
anymore.
looks like a
But
12-year-old.
but Zendaya's in it. And she's fine. It's her best performance yet as MJ, as their MJ. Um, it's just a good movie. And these other movies, my point is, when we talk about woke, and that's not woke at all. Super successful. One of their most successful, probably their most successful standalone movie of all time. Or if not, it's got to be right near the top. And there's a reason for that. One of the reasons, obviously, a big reason is Toby and Andrew being in it, of course. But it's also just really good. It's really surprisingly good. It takes
Right.
you on a great ride from beginning to end. There's some plot holes, but it's not egregious enough that it took me out of it. And I don't recommend anybody go pay money to see it, but I recommend they see it
Uh,
because I don't
well,
want anybody supporting Disney if they can avoid it.
well, my my
So
d- my daughter went and watched this weekend, and she loved it.
yeah,
And I've heard a lot of. I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard a lot of people say that Tobey Maguire is the best part of it.
yeah,
And it's like, is he in the movie that much?
yeah. He's in it for a good half hour, 40 minutes.
Huh.
Uh, yeah, him and Andrew are in it. They're the last whole third act is them and Tom
Hmm.
together. It's not just a cameo appearance, then they're gone. It's not just they give a speech and they leave. No, they're in it. They're 100% in it. Toby's still great. He's still the best Spider-Man ever put on screen. It's not. I mean, it's even more glaring when he's standing next to the other two. Tom does a great job though. He really matures in this movie. His Peter Parker becomes Peter Parker by the end of it,
Well, that's cool. A good
and
director pulled it out of him. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think Tom's a bad actor. I just think he's been given. He just did what they told him to do. And since somebody told him to do the right things, he did the right things. Maybe just
Right.
that
He just
simple.
does what he's told. Yeah.
Yeah,
This memorabilia store owner, he was awesome. This
he
guy
was.
was
He
awesome.
was.
You remember this guy?
I do, and he was
Yeah.
not to be intimidated, and I like
No,
that. I
get out of my
appreciate that.
face, councilwoman, transgender thing. Yeah. George Takai. Oh, okay. God, George. This is another one needs to learn to shut up.
Oh,
Does
Georgie,
idiot stuff. This idiot, he's the first Asian action hero, guys. First one.
first one. Never had one before
Yeah,
him.
first one
Nope.
ever.
Nope.
Let's see here. Aw, aw, poor little
Oh,
Fauci.
poor fake Italian. Oh, get out of here.
Yeah,
Get him
this
out of
guy.
here, little goblin.
uh, Ben and Jerry's massive backfire. I didn't even know about this, but that doesn't surprise me. These are woke ass hippies from the 60s, 70s, dude.
Yeah, and they're dumb. They're
They've
not.
always been.
It's what's the worst part about the last couple years is realizing that the elite, quote unquote, are just some of the dumbest people you've ever met. Like, just what when they speak, it's. I would rather listen to a janitor because these people are dumb.
They
And
are.
not even like yeah, it's dumb. Nah, no, they're dumb. They're low intelligence. I
Yeah,
don't understand how they became so successful, but stupid. Like, this was stupid what they
yeah.
did, and they
Well, look,
paid for it.
now they won't. They refuse to sell ice cream in Israel. Why? What did Israel do?
Existed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dumb. Just dumb.
Okay, whatever. They like ice cream too. Matter of fact, there is a place in Lebanon that is supposed to have the best ice cream in the world.
The whole of the world, huh?
That's what they
Interesting.
say.
In a
Uh,
deserty place.
yeah, but hey, if I get
The
over there,
Dave
I'm going to try it.
Apocalypse that wasn't. I've been to Lebanon actually. Not bad.
No,
The
it's
Dave
beautiful.
Apocalypse that wasn't. I like that. That's good. Whoever
Yeah,
wrote that did a good job.
yeah.
Apocalypse. I like that.
Well,
No, I'm glad Chappelle is uncancelable, and I think it's going to be him and guys like him and Rogan who are going to lead, who are leading, whether they want to or not, the destruction of the hegemonic woke bullshit over culture.
yeah,
A great example of it dying is No Way Home. No Way Home is not woke at all. There's so little in it that you could even interpret as woke that to do so would be
oh,
be
give me
grasping
a
at straws.
chance.
Oh, there's stuff in there, but it's completely like it's
Minimal.
like it's like a drop in the ocean. It's
I get it.
nothing.
Yeah,
And you could even take it out of the movie and it would change nothing.
yeah.
That's how irrelevant it is.
Well,
And I think my prediction's correct. I think this year, next year, probably by 2024, we'll be through this ridiculousness for the most part. It's not going to always go away. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying we'll never see woke shit again. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying its stranglehold, its predominance at the top of culture and things like this is going to go away. And
maybe.
we're
Hopefully.
already starting to see it. We're going to get good, or at least better stuff than we've been getting.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is Dave Chappelle is woke.
Yeah,
I mean, he is.
absolutely. He is.
He's just not insane woke, I guess. Let's see. We must be getting to the last one. Santa Inc. Oh, of course, idiots. Sarah Silverman is now a Jesus person. She's no more longer a Jubis.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see that news? Yeah, she loves
No.
Jesus now.
Oh
Okay,
Lord.
alrighty.
The
Thank you.
grift just never ends, huh?
Yeah, this dude. I mean, I don't know what.
Awesome.
How much trouble can you really get in for reporting a fake crime, though?
I think he's gonna end up paying some money. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, we all look at it and it's absolutely disgusting and it's hateful and yada 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 yada. But I just don't know how much penalty there really is for that. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some. You can't report for fake crime, but you know, it's a lot of people screaming for his execution, and it's a little over the top, guys. He is an absolute asshole, though. That's for sure.
Yes.
Oh, this idiot. Frickin' Spielberg, what are you doing, dude? And of course, this is in regards to his West Side Story, where he refused to put subtitles because he didn't want the English to overwhelm the beautiful Spanish people. Okay,
Yeah,
brilliant.
I like this weird idea that these Hollywood liberals have, and that other people like them have. Progressive filth, I call them. That Spanish is not a white language.
Yeah, I know it's weird, right? Yeah, it's a
It comes
Romance
from
language.
that. It comes from that crazy place that's not connected to Europe anymore, called Spain. It's not. We've taken it off apparently because there's no white people there. You see, Chester. It
Well,
can't be.
to be fair, West Side Story, well, I'm not 100% sure. Would they be Spanish people in that, or are they half breed Mexicans?
I think they're Puerto Rican in that movie.
Oh, well, then they're half breeds. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Uh,
But regardless, the language of Spanish is very much a European language, a romantic language, which you would say would be a white language.
right. Well, I mean, the reason I put the half breed thing up there is because the fact that they're not fully white anymore. Therefore, that's the leaning, right? You know.
Yeah,
Anyway, there's a lot of
silliness.
them, dude. Oh God, Mark Ruffalo. This guy, this guy needs to be
Look at
canceled.
him. Now, look at those eyes, man. There's something. That dude's done some dark shit.
Skeevy. He's skeevy.
Yeah, he's done some seriously dark stuff. Look at that. Look at that look. That's terrifying. If somebody's looking like that, looking at you like that on the street, you either better punch him in the mouth or run,
Yeah.
because that's a dangerous, predatory look he's giving whoever he's looking at right there.
Yeah, but this guy is the one of the noisiest woke people. I mean, Chris Evans doesn't even shine a light on this guy. I
No.
mean, Ruffalo, dude, for goodness sakes. LeVar Burton.
Oh, LeVar.
Rating, eating
LeVar, LeVar,
rainbow.
LeVar.
Yeah, okay, LeVar. Yeah, we covered this, and this is stupid. But he's been slowly working himself up to this over the past few years, anyway. Matrix Resurrections dies on arrival because the only reason that people are going to go is for Keanu, and you turned him into a cuck. What do you expect?
Oh.
Honestly, Demi
Well, that and
Lovato.
they put it out with when Spider-Man was coming out, and that was just a terrible plan.
Yeah, it
Like,
was. It's true.
I don't know who made that call, but it was stupid. They could have waited a couple months and put it out when they had no competition, and it would have done a lot better.
Yeah, it would have. That's true. Let's see, Demi Lovato. I mean, she goes off the deep end, but I mean, this girl's been on that trajectory for what, 15 years?
Yeah,
I
for a
mean,
minute.
she's just I now when we talk about people with mental illness and stuff like that, I think she actually has mental illness. I really do.
Probably.
I think there's something wrong with her. I think her brain is broken. Yeah. Of course, Paul Feig. He can't stand it. This guy. He's such a sore loser.
Yeah, I know, and I love it. I love the fact that they got that. Eventually, they did end up putting like a digital download in it or something, but I love it. I love the fact that he got snubbed. That movie was an abomination,
It wasn't
and I'm
good. It
glad.
was very poor.
I'm glad it's getting the treatment it deserves, which is forgotten.
Yeah.
Um, the new one I hear is actually decent.
Yeah, no, people seem to like the new one, although it's a nostalgia heavy. What is this? Woke climate change allegory bombs and every even
I
critics and
literally had never even heard of this movie until I saw people complaining about it online, or not even
oh
just
up
mocking it.
up. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
I
Don't
knew
look
I
up or
didn't
whatever.
watch this. I knew immediately what this was going to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What happened to Leo, man? He's not aging gracefully. Not aging gracefully.
No, but yeah, I understand that. But that he can still do different things. I think he has more available opportunities now with this look, other than the little boy. But yeah, of
True.
course, this movie was going to fail. Of course, it was. Yeah. Uh, she what?
Yeah, she was.
Really?
I
When did
love it.
that happen?
That is some serious makeup they got on her because my girl does not have the best skin.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about this, but well, she keeps herself relevant. Although her Fantastic Beasts thing is failing and just falling to pieces, unfortunately. Oh well.
No, what happened was the Guardian, I think it was, put out like like a reader voter poll or whatever
Hmm.
for person of the year, and she was winning overwhelmingly, so they canceled it.
Ah, that's funny. And that's it. All right. Well, geez, 2021 had a lot of crap, dude. Holy
Yep,
hell, man. And 2022 is just starting up, guys.
we're off to the races.
Just keep in mind, this is only the second year of Biden's term. Doesn't it feel like it's been a decade?
Yeah, yeah. But then again, 2020 felt like a decade too. So, oh man,
Yeah, but at least we had the fun of Trump, though. At least we had that fun.
that's true.
Because Biden, it's not even funny anymore, dude. Anyway, all right, let me come over here to the other side. Oh, what am I doing here? Okay, here we go. Oh, there it is. All right. Well, that was our welcome back to the New Year show. Hope everybody had a good break and enjoyed themselves. Had a good Christmas, a good New Year's. I was very busy doing a lot of things. It was nice to see the family again. But it's certainly back to get back. It's good to be getting back to doing our thing. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about comic book specific stuff, and of course, there's a lot to talk about. But
Mm.
other than that, thank you all for joining us. And Thundero, take us out of here, man.
I this comes from a very strange place that I was not expecting. But anybody who has Twitter, look up DW Hawk. DW Hawk is the founder of Visa. DW Hawk has one of the most interesting Twitter feeds on the entire hell site that is Twitter, replete with philosophical and quite deep and dark little posts that he puts out. I don't know if they're his, if he wrote them, if he stole them from somewhere, but it's quite good. A lot of it is quite good. One of them that he has, I'm going to read you right now, and it's very simple. Nothing so damages a people as taking cunning men for wise. I think
Mm,
that's brilliant. It's
that
a
is a nice
brilliant
little
little
quote.
thing, and that is exactly the problem we have today with the midwit versus the mentor. There's too many people who think they're wise because they're cunning, and not enough people who know they're wise regardless of their cunning.
Yeah, no, that's a very good little one actually, and very very true. Anyway,
Yep.
guys, thank you very much. We'll check you out later.
Later.